What's up, Jay?
Good to see you. Yeah, you all right?
Sure.
Good brother.
Jay? How you doing?
What's
man?
up,
Good
how
to
you
see
doing, man?
Congrats on the Emmy, no?
Man, thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
brother? Good to see you,
How
baby.
you doing?
Yes,
So
sir.
good to
Good,
see
man.
you.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for having me.
It was last year in Cannes. Alicia made me run up on you to get your autograph. I was the sacrificial lamb. You know, she had been walking around for 3 years with the black monk. But she wanted to meet somebody that had actually been at a monastery and not just me pretending to be.
Told you he calls himself the Black Monk.
I know,
right?
but he calls himself that. Like no one actually, it's a self-imposed title.
Jay, if you don't believe it, who else will?
Very well said.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, Muhammad Ali to us.
Hey, Shaddy, man, welcome to The Pivot. This is Fred Taylor. This is Channing Crowder. I'm Ryan Clark, Pivot fam. Thank you for pivoting with us. This is an exciting show today. We have best-selling author, motivational speaker, and big-time podcaster, Jay Shetty, who's out on, let y'all know now, out on his all-purpose live tour right now. Speaking of that, man, I think it's so cool, Jay, when you show the pictures of how it started to how it's going. And I actually counted the people in one of the pictures. It was only 12. To be in the position that you're in now, when you started out on this journey, how could you ever have imagined that it would end up where you are now touring the country, touring the world in some senses, and people pile into arenas to see you?
I don't think you could ever imagine it. And that's what's beautiful about it. I think the challenge today is everyone has too much pressure. Every video has to have 1 million views. Everything you post has to get lots of engagement. Everything you share has to get lots of attention. When I started giving my first talks, I was in a room like the size of the corner of this room. And the first time I went to speak, 0 people showed up. So I just practiced to the 4 walls. And the second time I showed up, no one showed up. And so I practiced to the 4 walls. And the third time I realized I had to fire the person who was putting the flyers out because they obviously weren't doing a good job. But for years, nearly 10 years before I posted a video, I was speaking to groups of small rooms. I was speaking to groups of 3 people, 5 people, 10 people. And I'll be honest with you, I never ever felt, why is it only 10 people? I never ever felt, oh, it's only 20 people today. I would have loved it to be 50 or 100, don't get me wrong. But I never thought it needed to be more than that. I was just happy that anyone would take time out of their day to come and hear about things that were meant to be good for them. But, you know, it wasn't, hey, here's how to do this, or here's how to get rich, or here's how to improve your life. And so for me, those years of spending hours and hours and hours with people, roughly 10 years later when I post my first video and I start to have the groundswell experience of more people finding out about my work, I live in gratitude every day. I post those to show people that no one starts in an arena. Everyone starts at 0. And the reason why we don't start is not because we're scared of starting at 0, we're scared of people watching us start at 0. We're scared of the opinions of people around us starting at 0. We're not scared of starting from scratch. We're scared of our friends seeing us start from scratch. And I just want to remind people that everyone started at 0. You did, you did, you did, and everyone on planet Earth did. And that means you can do it as much as I have.
Yeah. Hey, Chan, by the way, I just want to say this. This is the first time Fred's voice has been out-sexied on our show.
Oh, yeah.
These guys are something else.
That London is sexy now. I can see it. I wanted to ask you about motivational speaking and spiritual advisors. What about on the other side? Why do people need them? I'm not a pessimist, but I'm a person that thinks about it. Like, I don't talk to anybody. Like, this is probably my therapy with us doing this.
Yeah.
What about on the other side? Why do people need you to get them going? Like, bro, tighten up.
You know what's really interesting is when you're doing it, you don't think that's what you're doing. So when I first started learning from the monks, I was just trying to share what they were teaching me because I thought it was valuable. It's almost like if someone told you, hey, there's this really cool thing, there's this cool spot, there's this great movie, there's this great song, there's this great rapper, there's this great artist. If someone introduced you to that, you'd start talking about it because it was cool. And so for me, wisdom was cool. And so I was just sharing it because it changed my life and had an impact on me, and I thought it would help other people. So from my side, you don't even see yourself that way. You just see yourself as a spiritual dealer because you're just sharing what's helping you and you want it to help other people. So from my side, I don't look at myself as that. I think for people, what happens is we're all looking for people who represent what we're chasing, who represent what we're pursuing, who represent what we admire. And I think the thing is, everyone needs someone or something to believe in. Now, I don't want people to believe in me. I want them to believe in the wisdom. So that's my responsibility to make it very clear. I don't want you to believe in me. I'm flawed. I'm human. I have weaknesses. But the wisdom has lasted for 5,000 years. There's nothing in the world that has lasted, apart from the world, the planet, for 5,000 years. I remember talking about the Bhagavad Gita, which is the book that I reference a lot in my books. I was speaking about it with a guy that I'd met, and he was big in business. And he said to me after the interview, this was years ago, he said to me, he goes, how long did you say that book's been around? I said 5,000 years. He goes, oh, there must be truth in it if it's lasted 5,000 years. You think about the best music artists, they're not gonna last 5,000 years. You think about the best movies, they're not gonna last 5,000 years. Well, I'm definitely not gonna last 5,000 years. So the fact that something has stood the test of time, that's worth sharing. So I'm trying to get people to believe in that because that is actually gonna change their life. Them believing in me or another person or whatever is kind of insignificant and irrelevant.
You also try to get people to believe in their purpose. Because you speak about passion being what you like and purpose being what you give. Take us back to the moment when you say you were just in the room waiting for people and you were staring at the four walls, right? If your purpose wasn't greater than your passion, would we be doing this interview today?
That's a great question. The purpose is what drives you because when you're doing your passion, there may not be the result immediately. And so for me, the way I like to explain it is your passion is for you. Your passion is doing something that brings you joy. It could be baking, could be photography, could be organizing your kid's birthday. It could be coaching them, at football or soccer or whatever it may be. That could be your passion. But as soon as you start doing it to improve other people's lives, that's where it becomes a purpose. When you start connecting it with making someone else's day better. So instead of just baking for you, you're now baking for the homeless. Instead of just baking for you, you're now baking for the community. Instead of just taking pictures for yourself, you start sharing it so that people who don't have the money to travel that far can now see what it looks like to experience it. All of a sudden, you start to get that feedback and you realize you're meant for more. You're made for more. You're here for more. Right. For me, I would have kept going, and I did keep going for 10 years of sharing it in small rooms because I saw impact on one person. And I think if anyone wants to build a product, a business, a service, a show, you've got to see how it impacts one person before you can impact 1 million people. If your product can't change one person's life, it's never going to change 1 million people's lives because the feedback you get from that one person is everything. That one person could help you improve your product, your service, your energy, your show more than anyone. I'm sure you guys have had it. Like you've had someone who watches every Pivot podcast, right? Every episode. And they're like, you know what? I really liked it when you guys did that. Oh, I wasn't sure when you guys did that. And same for me. People will be like, oh, I really like it when you share your opinion. I really like it when you stay true to your values. That's what helps you keep going. So to me, I kept going because there was always one person who was being moved. And even today, when I'm speaking to a large audience or an arena, I'm visualizing being in that small room with 3 to 5 people because that's how intimate I want it to feel. I want it to feel like this. This is special. Just the intimacy you guys have created here, this is special. And I want people in a room full of thousands to feel like this because this is what we're all craving. No one's craving to be in a room full of thousands of people. Everyone's craving this eye contact, this kind of connection, this kind of space. And it's our job, and that's what you guys do so well here. Whenever I watch your clips, this is how I feel. I feel this close to you. Before I met you, I felt like I knew you because I'd seen so many of your guys' clips, and it felt like you guys were genuine, sincere. You were doing this for the right reason, and so I think we've got to give people that experience, and that's what I've always tried to do, whether it was 5 people or 5,000.
Jay, I look at you, man, the finely manicured hair, right? the beard always taped up, obviously the gear. And I see you in Bad Boys and moving around. And it's like, man, Like, this dude's kind of like me. Make sure his hair is nice. He make sure his clothes are tight, right? He gonna stay clean. And I see the lifestyle you live now, and I try to just put my mind and say, okay, Jay Shetty, after being college educated, decided to follow the monastic way. What was it about that lifestyle that drew you to the ashram?
When I met my monk teacher, I saw that he dedicated his life to mastering his emotions and his mind and serving other people. And that's what attracted me. I felt that felt like a life worth pursuing. When I met him, I remember I'd met people who were rich and famous and successful, but I don't think I'd met anyone who was content and happy in their own skin. And my monk teacher didn't have any of those other things, but he was happy in who he was. And I was like, I want that. Like, that feels like the life I want to have. And he graduated also from IIT, which is the MIT of India. So he went to one of the best colleges in the country. For example, the current CEO of Google went to that university. Wow. Like, that's the level of institution. And he gave that all up to be a monk. So I was thinking, and I was at college at the time, and I was thinking, wait a minute, if I'm gonna aspire to get a job like that, this guy's given it up. There's something amazing about him. So to me, it was truly the fascination, and I'm sure you've had it in sports, I'm sure you've had it in business, where you see someone and you just like the way they move. And you think, how are you that happy, that peaceful, that content? And I just wanted to know. And so to me, it was as simple as finding one person who is living differently. And I always say to people, everyone needs to find their monk. And what I mean by that is, who's the one person you haven't met yet that's going to change the trajectory of your life? Who's the one person who embodies what you believe life is about? It might not be a monk, it might be something else, but everyone has to find that. And for me, mental stability, resilience, and peace, and service to others have always felt like the best pursuits. And now when you're talking about, the hair or the clothes or whatever it is, I'm giving myself permission to be all of myself. So I enjoy presenting myself well. I like living an intentional life. I think the way we dress, the way we appear, everything's about intention. And that's what mindfulness is. Mindfulness ultimately is, am I mindful about what I wear, what I think about, how I show up, what energy I walk into the room with, if I'm kind to people. That's what mindfulness is about. So to me, everything from, like, this room has been mindfully designed. I walked in and I felt happy, I felt good, I felt it was comfortable, it was inviting. But let's say you were like, oh, it doesn't matter, it only matters what's on the inside. We'll just sit in a black room.
Yeah.
Well, that's gonna affect your mindset. So mindfulness also means focusing on the outside and the inside. And I think immature mindfulness is like, oh, it only matters what's on the outside. And materialism is, it only matters what's on the outside, right? So I think that's the mistake we make as humans. We think, oh, if I'm spiritual, it means only the inside matters. And if I'm material, only the outside matters. And intentional, mindful living is, they both affect each other. If I'm in a messy outside space, I'm gonna be messy up here. And if I have a messy world here, it doesn't matter how clean my outside is, I'll never be at peace. And that's what I learned in the monastery for sure.
I love that, man.
Monkism. Is it like the Fight Club where you can't talk about the Fight Club? Like, I know how to become a crip or a blood, you get jumped in. What's the process of becoming a monk? Like, you meet your advisor, your monk teacher.
Yes.
And then you become a monk. What is that process?
Yeah, no, there's a system for sure, and it's not like Fight Club. You can totally talk about it. So
And you don't get jumped in.
Yeah.
So do they jump you in? Because I seen some with some yoked upness to them.
The initiation is the daily practice and commitment to it. So you're waking up at 4 a.m., you're meditating for 4 to 8 hours a day, you sleep on the floor or on a thin mat and have a sheet. When you're in India, you have a mosquito net because the mosquitoes will bite you all night. So you got to be inside of this tent-like thing. You get 2 sets of robes. You wear one, you wash one. All your possessions fit inside a gym locker. And you live that practice. You eat what you're given. You don't get to choose. There's no menu. You don't get to say, today I want pizza, and it doesn't exist. Everyone eats the same thing. There's no space that's yours. So we'd be in a room like this and there's 30 men sleeping in it. And you just put your mat down and go to sleep. It's not like that's my corner. the idea is to lose a sense of I, me, and mine. And so you have very, very few possessions. And it's that daily practice and commitment that if they see you're dedicated to, that allows you to become a monk.
But is it like, let's ride to the monastery? Like, I've seen movies.
I get it.
Yeah, that process of it, like you being a monk and your book, you know, the mindset. Okay, I met this dude. And then now I'm sleeping on the mat with 30 dudes sitting in the room with me. Like that process, why? Like, but what is that, those steps? Is it something mental? Then the shaving of the hair and all that stuff? Like, I like the process from living a normal life, having an apartment, graduating from one of the best schools, and now I have no possessions. I'm in a locker and I'm sleeping on the floor with 29 dudes.
So I was so young when I did it that there was a sense of naive following. And what I mean by that is I was just like, yeah, let's give it a go. Like, let's try it out. Like, let's test it out. I kind of went in there as an experiment of like, can I do this? What does it look like? And I think I had that openness of that age where you aren't necessarily asking all these questions. You're kind of just like, let's see how it goes. And to me, it was as simple as I spoke to the monk in England, which is where I first met him, and then he invited me to India to spend time with him. So I flew over during my Christmas breaks and college vacations, and I would spend time with him at the monastery. And now at that time, I would get a more comfortable room and I'd do the practices. So they didn't throw me right into the deep end. But I did that so often that I got so used to it that when I graduated, I knew what I was getting myself into. It's almost like you've seen the spaces you're gonna sleep in. You've seen what it looks like. And I truly, if I'm completely honest, I didn't give it too much thought. I was just like, I'm open to it. Let's see if it works. Let's test it out. And so to me, the mindset was being open, not being skeptical, and being a human guinea pig and going, let's see if this proves to be true. And the more I did it, the more I gained confidence in it. Because, I mean, to me, a kid from London waking up at 4 a.m., you know, as a college student, that's unheard of. You're getting back at 4 a.m., right? From going out. And so all of a sudden I'm waking up at 4 a.m., but I literally said, I'm just gonna do this properly and see if it works. And I think that's something I'd like to encourage, especially young people to do, is if you're gonna try something out, go all in and test it out for 7 days. And if it doesn't work, don't do it again. But the problem is we never go all in, we do it for a day. If I said to you, I really wanna learn about American football, right? I really wanna understand the game. Well, if I come to one game a year, what am I gonna learn? If you go to one meditation a year, what are you gonna learn? I'm not gonna learn anything. But if I sat with you every single day, if I followed you around, if I followed the players around, then I'm actually gonna learn something, right? And so I think it's that intimacy and that connection to a coach, a mentor, a guide that makes it easier to understand what's happening and what's going on. So it's an immersive experience. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
I wanna make sure I answer your question.
Yes, exactly.
It's a great question.
It sounds, it seems crazy to do, but you wanted to dive in, and that's...
Totally, it is crazy. It was so, now when I look back, I'm like, what was I thinking? But I had that young, naive spirit of this guy has something I don't have, and I want it. And you could think about how that mindset can get you into trouble, right? When you're young, I'm sure I saw lots of guys who had amazing cars and rims and, you know, clothes and whatever it is, and you can get involved in the wrong things because you also want that. I just was really lucky that the person I was inspired to be like was a monk. People always ask me, like, how did you have that at such a young age? I truly think it's because of their aura and their presence. It's a little bit of me. I have a good heart. I was raised to be a good man. My mom raised me well. But they're just so powerful in their presence that you just couldn't help but want to live that way. And I'm lucky that it was the right people, not the wrong people, because that naive mindset can end up, you know, in completely the other direction.
I just want to add to that too, Jay, before I get into the immersion, because you're here now, you're one of the boys. And this is more so for Channing, but I just want to say before I get into that question is you're not your thoughts, right? You're not your emotions. You're the observer of those things. And the young Jay, you were able to observe, you know, what you wanted when you met this monk, and it allowed you to discover your identity and your real purpose, if I'm on the right line.
Absolutely.
But in terms of Channing, I want to go back to when you say being mindful, right, in your appearance and your approach. what drives that? Because Channing calls it insecurity.
Oh, this
More so
this
than-
conversation.
More so than awareness, because he feels that the way Ryan dresses or the way I might dress or the things I wear, which comes across as materialistic, but it's something that I like, right? How do you, what drives your mindfulness? I'm sure it's not an insecurity, more so than it is awareness itself of wanting to present yourself this way.
The way I like to think about it is two people can do the exact same thing, but for completely different reasons. Let's say we were at a charity event and two celebrities signed $1 million check for the charity. We don't know what's happening inside their head. One of them signed it because they want to be seen as charitable. The other person signed it because they really believe in the charity. We don't know. Only they do. And that's how it works with everything in life. Two people go to the same job every day. One person does it because they love the job. The other person does it to put food on the table. You could see two people dressed in three-piece suits. One does it because they're insecure, and one does it because it represents who they are and how they want to be presented. No one knows. The only person that knows is the person wearing the suit, wearing the watch, giving the money in charity. Externally, it's both. It could be whatever. And so sometimes we see people and we project our own insecurities onto them. So I'm not saying that about Channing. I don't know you well enough.
No, y'all look at me. I'm gonna go off what Jay said. Some people do it for insecurity. Other is how they want to be presented. Presented to who? Other people.
And
If the world was blind, would you dress up?
So I'll give you an example. I'll give you a really good example. My friends back in London rip the way. What word do you use for like I don't know, what's the word? Like, what's the word in American?
You say rip? Yeah.
Yeah. So
Cow.
like, I'm just making sure I'm not speaking too much British slang. I'm not trying to.
They light your ass up.
Yeah. So my friends back at home will see me on the red carpet and destroy me in the group chat. Right? They'll post it up and be like, what is up with your hair, bro? Like, like, what are you wearing? Why are you wearing that? Why are you looking like a girl? Like, like that, my friends will completely destroy me in the group chat. So I get no clout for dressing the way I am. Like, I have taken some risks. My wife, we made a video last week, which wasn't my idea, but it was Taylor who's here with me. So Taylor, she set me up. She invited me into a space with my wife, and she had printed out all my looks in the last 9 years of my public figure career, like since I left the monastery and since my career took off. And she got my wife to rate my looks and roast me on each one of them. My wife doesn't even like the stuff I wear. So if I'm completely honest, and this is why I like Ryan, because he has good taste, right? So Ryan compliments me on what I wear because he has good taste. A lot of people don't have good taste. So actually, I wear a lot of stuff that no one wants to see me in. And so what I'm trying to say is that actually, I would argue that some of the things, and I'm talking for myself, right? I can only talk for myself. I'd argue and say, a lot of the stuff I wear, the people around me don't even like it. But I like it. It makes me feel comfortable. It makes me feel confident. It makes me feel like for me, I also like to dress up to feel how I want to feel in this space. So I'm comfortable in this. I feel casual in it. I feel like myself. I feel relaxed. Do I want people to think I care about my appearance? Of course I do, definitely. Do I care what people think about my appearance? Of course I do. I'm not beyond that. And I think it's the honesty of that, which is what makes me authentic, not the not caring. I think we live in a world where we think, if that person don't care about what anyone thinks, they're authentic. No, authentic is me being honest about what I care about and what I don't. Do I care if Ryan thinks I dress well? Yes, of course I do. But that's honesty. That is authenticity. I think today we've made authenticity feel like, I don't care about anyone. I'm above it all. I'm beyond it. That's not authenticity. That's just fake. Name me one person. By the way, when I walked around as a monk, that's when I really didn't care. Because we had robes, we had shaved heads, and there was nothing attractive about our appearance. And I remember walking through city centers. We traveled across Scandinavia teaching meditation in Copenhagen and Stockholm and Oslo. And I'd be on the streets and people are laughing at you. People are looking at you like you're dressed weird. Like I've done that too. So I have lived in a world of no one cared. I didn't care what people thought. But now at this point, I'd rather be honest and say, I like taking pride in my appearance. I like dressing a certain way. Some people hate it, some people love it. But I think that no one knows what's going on inside someone's mind. And that's what's most interesting to me, is that we can all have projections of why people dress the way they do, talk the way they do, or do what they do. And then you realize what you said. I think the inner reflection is more important to me than what we think of others. So the inner reflection is, am I doing this for the praise? Because if I am, I'm going to be let down by it. Because sometimes people are going to notice it and sometimes they're not. So do I keep doing it when there's no praise? Or do I only do it when there is praise? Am I doing this because it makes me feel comfortable? Or am I willing to wear something completely uncomfortable in order to impress people?
Yeah.
Right? So I never wear a suit these days because I don't like wearing suits. I don't feel comfortable in them. Right? It doesn't make me feel at ease.
He wears the tight crotch suits. Them can't be comfortable.
Why are you looking at my crotch?
Because I know you got a yeast infection. Jay, I gotta ask you, with the honesty too.
Yeah.
Because they've killed me on this show before. We've been doing this a long time.
They usually roast you?
No. But when I tell dudes, like, you're a good looking dude, like, what's the boy's name? Denzel Ward. Like, I see a dude, I'm like, bro, you a fine dude. Like Jason Momoa, Idris Elba. I got some dudes that we could raise a baby together. But like, do you think you're a very good looking man? The pretty eyes, like in the way you talk and the little, the accent. Would you be as successful if you were a big old fat ugly guy?
I don't know. There's two sides to this. One side is I'm also an Indian man. You don't see a lot of brown Indian people having huge public profiles. Like, it's just not that as common, right? It's just not, I mean, to be honest, I think most Indian people, when they come to America, it's like most people don't even know where to place you. Born and raised in London, there's lots of Indian people, so it's very common. But in the media, you didn't really see that. And so if you think about in America, the most successful Indian person in America of all time is Deepak Chopra, like the only person I can think of. And then there would have been like a musician, Jay Sean. More recently, there's Riz Ahmed and Dev Patel, both amazing actors. But there's few and far between. Like, there's a handful of South Asian people. I think it's a hard question to answer because I don't know is the reality. But what I would say is that, subjectively speaking, there's plenty of people who've succeeded in life not based on their appearance as well. And they would say that themselves. And I don't think anyone is attractive to everyone. Like, people always meet me and go, oh, you're a lot shorter in person, right? Which means that there's a presence on screen that, like, people expect me to be bigger, but that's a personality thing. That's not my shape or size. Some people also tell me that I look more fat on social media. People meet me and they're like, oh, you're really lean. You're like fit in person. And I'm like, oh, wait, what do I look like on screen? And then, so I think, appearance and stuff is it's so subjective, right? I'm sure you met someone that like I get it. There's people that I think are attractive or whatever, and some people think they're ugly. It's such a messy thing. Ultimately, what I think it is it does come down to energy and personality and spirit, and that's what people hold on to with people. I think that's what works. When you look at the biggest YouTubers in the world today, look at some of the biggest podcasters, look at some of the biggest comedians. It's people telling great stories and people who make you feel something. And I think that's what wins in the online world. Because back in the day, people were choosing who people followed, right? There would be an exec in a suit that said, you're good looking, you're ugly. The good looking person gets to be front of house, the ugly person has to be back of house. No one decides that anymore. The public decides who goes up and down. So to me, when the public gets to decide, now you have to make someone feel something for them to keep being involved. And I've been doing this for 9 years online. And my goal always is to make people feel something. And by the way, if you look at my old videos, I didn't have like this. I'm wearing a t-shirt. I've got, people, I remember my first video we posted, people were like, why has he got a wind machine? Dude, it wasn't a wind machine, it was the wind. The wind's just blowing my hair because I didn't have a team to produce the thing. My first video, I'm sitting there with a boom mic stuck into a backpack to hold it up. And my friend's got his camera, like that's all we had. And so when I started out, we didn't have, like I wasn't, wearing cool clothes. My hair wasn't perfect. I was just some guy. So I think, to me, it's what we make people feel. To me, that's what people connect with.
Life is about connection. And we're all searching for it in some way and in something. And I thought you said something really profound about the language we use, right? There's two different ways to describe being alone. One is solitude, which could be looked at as a positive. And then there's loneliness, which obviously has a negative connotation. How does someone who is alone or spending time alone decipher between the two?
I think in today's society, people would rather be in the wrong relationship than be alone. People would rather settle for less than they deserve than be alone. People would rather be in a toxic relationship than be alone. We've made being alone feel so scary and feel so bad that people don't even think about it. 80% of people will pick out their phone in a crowd just not to feel lonely. You just walk in through a crowd and you just take your phone out because you don't want to feel like you're alone. People struggle to eat on their own. When have you ever seen someone go out, sit at a table by themselves and eat food? If we do that, we have to get our phone out. It's very rare. So we've made it since we were young. If you think about it, if you were the kid eating lunch on your own table alone, you were considered the loner or the weirdo. If you turn up to a wedding and you don't have a +1, or you just got divorced, or you just broke up, everyone's looking at you like, oh, are you okay? Like, poor you. It's like, if you don't have someone next to you, you're always seen as weaker, less than, or incomplete. We even say that. We say, find someone who completes you. What does that mean? It means you're incomplete without someone. So we've made people feel that if you're alone, you're incomplete. So we've villainized being alone. But Paul Tillich wrote about it, and the monk teachers reminded me that there's 2 words for being alone. One is lonely, and one is solitude. Paul Tillich says that being lonely is the weakness of being alone, but solitude is the strength of being alone. So solitude is saying, actually, if I can be comfortable in my own company, that's success. If I can like the thoughts in my mind and the conversations I have in my head when I'm alone, then I've had success in my life. And that's what the monks were trying to train you to do. That instead of always looking for the next bit of praise, the next bit of validation, the next bit of approval, how do I feel so centered and happy and content with who I am that I'm not looking for other people to fill the parts of me that are gaps. I actually look for other people so we can enhance and grow together. And so to me, solitude is something we all need. And by the way, we did this at my last show. 2 years ago, I went on a world tour. We did nearly 40 cities across the world. And my first segment was something I was so excited to do. So what we did is I asked people in the audience, who's the most addicted to their phone? And we broke it down to the person who looks at their phone basically every 2 minutes. So I'd bring them out the audience. Out of 5,000 people, we'd take one person onto stage. And I asked them how that feels. And they usually feel pretty bad about it, naturally, as we all do. And I told them, well, they shouldn't feel bad about it because they're just the honest one. Everyone else is lying.
Right.
Because, everyone's addicted to their phone. And then what I did is I gave them one question. And what they didn't know is we locked them into a cave on stage. We had this big box come out, almost like a magician's box. And we locked them in it in pitch black, gave them noise-canceling headphones so they can't hear anything. I didn't even tell them how long they were going to be in there. This person was in there for 15 minutes alone. We had a night vision camera so we could see how they were settling in them. And I left them with one question. The question was, what's the one thing you value that you've been devaluing lately? What's really important to you, but you keep brushing it aside? I left them with that. 15 minutes later, people would come out of this solitude. Some people would be in tears. Some people would be in deep reflection. Some people would have had a moment. It was so good that people thought we faked the whole thing. Like people afterwards coming up to me going, you must have faked that. I was like, trust me, I'm in Australia. I've never been to Australia. We just picked someone out of the audience. People had huge experiences. And the reason I did that was to show people that when you take reflection into solitude, you come out with value, right? We've been told if you're alone, you don't get any value from it. These people were getting so much value from it because they had a pointed focus and reflection. And then afterwards, we'd have a conversation about it. People were talking about how they valued their family and they don't care about them. They haven't been focusing on them. People talked about their kids. People talked about themselves. It was really beautiful, and we've got video footage to prove it. And what was amazing about it was just everyone walked away realizing that solitude and the discomfort of solitude was helpful. So to me, it's all about showing people that they have the answers within themselves, not showing them that I have the answers. And solitude has the answers. You can't hear your voice when you're surrounded by all of this noise. You can't hear your inner voice when you're surrounded by opinions. You can't hear your voice when you're always asking the group chat, what should I wear? What should I do? Where should we go? You never get to know yourself because you never had to.
How do you get people to embrace that solitude and that stillness? Because the world, it's a constant reminder of what hustle, how it can reward you, right? And then technology is forever evolving. You don't want to feel missed out. So how do you get someone to, like I'm the person that's on my phone, right? All the time. If you ask them, I'm that guy that would have been pulled out of the crowd. But how do you get someone to embrace that stillness that you would hope that they could search for?
I think a lot of people think that stillness and solitude means doing nothing and just sitting there. And that's not the goal. The goal is we're gonna focus your attention on one thing. And actually that's where beast mode comes from. To me, beast mode doesn't come from running around being busy. Beast mode comes from having super focus on one thing. There's this great quote I love from Bruce Lee, where he said, I'm not scared of the man who's practiced 15,000 kicks one time each. I'm scared of the man who's practiced one kick 15,000 times, right? Because if you've practiced something once every time, you're not scared of that person because they can't do it that well. So the person who's running around trying to do everything, I'm not scared of that person. They're not winning. I'm scared of the person who stood at the hoop and shot 100 free throws every hour for the next 10 days. That person's scary. So that's what stillness and solitude is can I focus, laser focus on one thing? Whether that's the mindset, whether that's clarity, whether it's strategy, whether it's my breath, whatever it is, that person's scary. That person's undefeatable because that person has done the same thing again and again and again. Does that make sense? It's like stillness and solitude isn't, I'm just sitting there doing nothing, time's going by, I'm wasting time. It's one pointed attention energetically. I was talking to Carmelo Anthony yesterday, and he was saying that the best games he played was when his coaches showed him a video of like 300, when like Gerard Butler's like shouting Sparta, or like, the best games he played was when he was in the zone. The best games wasn't the ones where he's like just doing a million things. It was like he was shown a video that made him feel like a gladiator, that made him know what he had to go and do out there. That's what solitude gives you the space to do. Solitude gives you the space to go, what is the energy I'm trying to create? But you can't create that if you're hustling, running around, trying to win at everything and do everything. And that's what I want people to think of stillness and solitude as. It's priming the beast inside of you to do what Bruce Lee said, which is, I'm so focused that I don't even need to move that much to destroy my enemy. Like, that's the energy you can create in solitude.
When I look at you and your wife now, right, it's like your wife has her own thing, you have your own thing, and then you come together and you guys do your thing. You met her while you were in the monastery, and then now you're out and you get an opportunity to develop this relationship. Was it difficult to be in something where it became about us when for 3 years you were dealing in the world of mindfulness, of understanding solitude, of having a certain level of peace by yourself, and now you had to give yourself to someone else?
Yeah, I actually met her before I became a monk.
Okay.
And we never dated. I just met her. I introduced her to my sister. They became friends. And so when I came back from the monastery, her and my sister were best friends. And my sister was my wingman. So in my first book, I wrote my dedication. I dedicated Think Like a Monk to my wife. And the dedication says, to my wife, who's more monk than I'll ever be. And I mean that. My wife is way more monk than I'll ever be. I had to work to be a monk. My wife is a monk. Like, she's naturally that way. And I got lucky and fortunate that I was able to find a partner who actually brings me peace rather than brings me drama. And I always say that the right person will reduce drama and the wrong person will increase trauma, right? The right person brings you peace. The wrong person brings you chaos. The right person brings you stability. The wrong person brings you inconsistency. And so to me, I found someone who was able to match that energy. But it was hard in the beginning because I came out of the monastery as a bit of an avoidant. What I mean by that was, I used to constantly say to my wife, you know, I'd be okay without you. I used to be happy before this. I'm okay without you. And I didn't realize how much damage that did to connection because I felt that was strength and confidence. It was just avoidance. It was the avoidance of connection. I'd be like, oh, you know, I'd be happy on my own. You know, I'm happy on my own. I was good by myself. It's not that that's not true. It's that when you're trying to connect with someone, that isn't the language and the approach that creates connection. So what did that do? That created a relationship where my wife was like, well, I'm okay without you too. Right? And now you're like two strangers living in the same house. We both think, oh, we're better without each other. We're fine without each other. So that's what the challenge was, is that I came out as an avoidant and created an avoidant attachment style in my own relationship. And it took me a long time to realize, and partly it was me grieving a past life. And I'm sure you felt this in sport, business, and everything else in your lives. When you're retiring, there's a grieving of who you used to be. And so for me, leaving the monastery, I was grieving that life that I'd created for myself. And what you do is when you're grieving, you take that into the next life. And you carry that baggage into your next relationship. It took me a lot of years to say, actually, I'm just going to embrace. I'm a married man now. I'm not a monk anymore. And that's okay. And this is coming with new gifts, new blessings, new reflections. And this is going to make me a better monk, a better man, a better person if I embrace it rather than I keep holding on to this over here. There's a beautiful Zen teaching that says, whatever you're holding on to is what's holding you back. So if you're holding on to a past version of yourself, that's holding you back. If you're holding to a person in your past, that's holding you back. If you're holding on to a life that you once had, that's holding you back. So what's holding you back is something you're actually holding on to. But if you just let it go and free it, you're free to move forward.
And Jay, I got to ask you about the 3-year stretch in the monastery. You were in college, you were having a good time, understand you, and then you got back into the world. There was 3 years you didn't touch a woman or have no sex.
Nothing.
For 3 years?
Nothing.
Bro, that's crazy.
It is crazy.
Did you have to really meditate some nights? Like, bro, it's 3 years, Jay. That's nuts to me.
You know what it is? There's an environment. When you go to a place where people have meditated for decades, and some temples we went to in south of India, people have meditated for thousands of years. And people have been celibate for thousands of years. There's an energy in that space that you can't conceive. The only way I can describe it is like when you go to a stadium that you love and you just get pumped because you walk into the stadium and it has an energy because your greats played there and you won Super Bowls there or whatever it is, and you walk into that space. And so I think the energetic sphere that's created by the monks is what makes it easier. Was it hard for me? Of course it was. Was it unnatural for me? Of course it was. But there was a value in it, and it was made easier in their association. There are certain things that are easier when you're surrounded by people, right? There's that famous quote that says, if you're surrounded by 5 rich people, you'll be the 6th. If you're surrounded by 5 smart people, you'll be the 6th. If you're surrounded by 5 fit people, you'll be the 6th. And if you're surrounded by 5 idiots, you'll be the 6th, right? You're gonna be the 6th of whoever you are. So when you're surrounded by all these people that are committed to this practice, surprisingly, it becomes easier. But yes, there were times when I had to really lock in, when I felt weak, when I felt moments of vulnerability, for sure. You're so engaged positively. This is another trick for the mind. The mind can't give up something hard if it doesn't have something that it's connected to better, right? So when you think about the first car you ever got, this is how I like to think about this. The first car I ever got, I'll have to show you a picture later. It's a red Vauxhall Corsa, which I don't even think they have the brand in America, but it's like this tiny little red Beetle-looking thing, right? It was the first car I ever had. To me, that was a Ferrari, because I was a kid who just wanted a car. Like, I would be playing like 50 Cent, the game, while driving around in my red, tiny little Beetle-looking car, and I felt like the coolest kid in town. And this is when you had the cassette tape that connected to the MP3 player and then, it played the song. And I used to feel so cool. Now when I look back at that picture, I mean, I look like an idiot. Like that car was, whatever. But if someone told me to give up that car for nothing, I'd be like, are you kidding me? I'd never give it up. It's the best car in the world. Because for me, that's all I could afford. That was the best thing I could have. But if someone said, hey, I'll trade you, at that time, I'll trade you a Mercedes for that car, I would have done it in an instant, obviously. That's kind of what it's like, where it's like you're addicted to this thing over here. You can't just give it up. Like to theoretically rationalize how you can give it up is impossible. But when someone's offering you something, when it's enlightenment, mindfulness, presence, the greatest emotional and mental mastery, and it's being offered to you, it's because of that it becomes easier to not follow this distraction, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Jay, you talked about your wife and yourself living in the same home as strangers. Did that help you create your book, The 8 Rules of Love? I think you talk about building and maintaining relationships. And I also want to ask you, what's the most common misconception of love?
So the book wasn't written from what I got right. The book was written from what other people got wrong that shared their stories with me. So I wrote the book not from what I got right about love, but from what I got wrong and the people that I interviewed and what they got wrong. Because I think it's really interesting to study people's challenges. The biggest misconception about love is that we've confused inconsistency with excitement, and we've confused stability with boredom. We've confused that if someone shows up with effort, that they're desperate. If someone shows up for us with time and energy, we think they need us. We think that if someone actually has space for us, then they must be the loser. We believe that love means chasing someone who doesn't want to stay rather than being with someone who never wants to leave. The biggest misconception is that love is something that has to be earned rather than shared. And so what we do is we want to be with the person who keeps us on our toes, right? We've all met people who say, I really want someone with values, but then they chase the person who doesn't give them validation. We've all met someone who says, I really want someone who's affectionate, but they chase the person who doesn't give them any attention. We've all met someone who says, I really want someone who's present, but then you're chasing the person who never shows up on time. We're always chasing the person who doesn't give us what we want because we believe that's love. And that's the biggest misconception. And too many people are chasing all the wrong people, and the right person is standing right there, ready to love them with all their heart, but they're boring, needy, desperate, and I'm not attracted to them. But wait, when you're gonna be with someone for 5, 10, 15 years, I want the person who texts me back. I want the person who calls me back. In 5, 10, 15 years' time, I want the person who shows up on time. I want the person who wants to hear how my day was. I don't want the person who's never around. I don't want the person who disappears when it's hard. Like, that's not the person I want. And so people are choosing the 6-month pleasure versus the 60-year presence. And yeah, those 6 months are gonna be the amazing 6 months, but guess what? You're gonna have to keep doing those 6 months every 6 months.
Every 6 months.
And so you either date 30 people every 6 months for the rest of your life, or you have one person or 2 people maybe. Because by the way, I also don't like to demonize divorce and breakups, because I do believe it's honestly possible for people to outgrow each other and for people to grow apart. And I don't think we should demonize people who get divorced or break up or make it feel like a failure, when actually it could be the best decisions of someone's life and the best decision for that other person. And I think we have to learn in society to be okay with that, because A, 50% of people are doing it anyway, so you're gonna know someone who's gone through it. And B, it's actually, we should realize it's more rare to stay with someone than it is to leave someone. It's way harder to find someone on planet Earth that you actually can stay with than it is to find someone that you probably will outgrow or break up with. So, I think we've got to give people an easier time on that.
That's interesting, because in reading the title of your book, it's, find it, keep it, let it go. And it's almost one of those things, you read that title and you're like, well, damn, He gonna get me to it, then teach me how to live when it's gone. But that is part of it. When you wrote that book, what sort of advice were you trying to give to people who are looking for love, who are trying to continue to build on their love, and also who are trying to let go of love lost?
There's two things. The first is everyone at one point in their life will have to let go of someone they love. Whether that be while that person's alive or while that person's about to pass away. Every single one of us is gonna lose someone we love. And the hardest realization is when you recognize that you love someone, but you still have to let them go because you didn't have the other emotional skills to keep love. Right? You can love someone, but not be good for them. And someone can love you, but not be right for you because they don't have the other emotional skills that make love stay. Love's not enough. You need emotional maturity, you need personal mastery, you need self-control, you need compassion, you need empathy. There is so much more needed to make love last. And so a lot of us are gonna lose love because we didn't develop those other skills. You lose love to remind you that there are other skills to be developed as well. There are other habits that you need to build as well. And the number one habit that I encourage all people to realize is that we've put romantic love on a pedestal. On planet Earth, we believe that romantic love is the number one type of love. If you look at all the spiritual traditions, they disagree. They believe that the number one type of love is a parent's love for their child. That's the deepest, most unconditional, selfless love that could possibly exist. But in humans, we've said romantic love is better than anything. So someone could be loved by their kid and love their kid. Someone could love their friends and be loved by their friends. Someone could love their brother or their sister and be loved by their siblings, but still feel incomplete because they don't have a partner. And I want to remind people that you need to value all of those forms of love as much as romantic love. Stop putting this hierarchy on love. Stop rating love on a scale of romantic love is the best, family love is second, kids love is fifth. That's what's ruining love in our lives. I think people don't realize how much love they already have. And by the way, that will probably help you find romantic love. Whereas when you walk around thinking, I don't have love in my life, well, guess what? That's all you're gonna see.
Speaking of love, does your passion for helping others, your passion for, spiritually guiding people, does that take away from your personal love relationships, your wife, your family? Because you're helping so many people. There's only so much energy, there's only so many hours in a day.
That's a great question. Yeah, I've always felt like, in one sense, I always feel like I have so much parental energy because my work is so parental, right? It's almost like you're giving parental love through what I do every day. So I feel like the parental side of my life is very satisfied. But I still want to have kids with my wife because I think she'll be a great mom. I think that I'd like to create with her because I'd want to have a kid that's just like her. So there's a beauty in that too. I think about it the other way around. If you love your kid, you have to love their friends. Because if you don't love their friends, your kid is surrounded by friends who don't have love. And if you love your kid and you love their friends, you have to love their school. Because if you don't care about the school they go to, your kid is gonna become like the school makes them. So if you love your kid and you love their friends and you care about their school, you gotta care about the city they grow up in. Because what they see on the streets is what they're gonna repeat. And then if you care about your kid and you care about their friends and you care about the school and you care about the city, you gotta care about the country they grow up in. Because the leaders they see are the people they're following. So if you actually care about your kid, you have to care about the world. Because your kid is growing up in that world. And so I think people don't realize, they go, oh, I'm caring about my kids. But if you just care about your kids, you don't really get them anywhere because they're growing up in the world that you hate. And that's not the world you want to create. And that's why I think so many people today are realizing it does matter who the leaders are. It does matter what they see on TV. It does matter who's represented. It does matter that people of color get a chance to have exec positions and leadership positions. It does matter that people are represented effectively on screen and off screen. It does matter that women are in boardrooms and are CEOs. All of this matters because your kid's gonna grow up in that world. Yep. It's not good enough to say, I love my kid, I care about them, and because I just take care of them, everything's gonna be okay. Now, I'm not saying everyone has the capacity to take care of everything, but the mom showing up at school to make sure the kids have support, that's making an impact, right? The parent who's coaching their kid in Little League, that's making an impact. The fact that I get to try and show love to the world is making an impact in my own way. So to me, it's all connected. I can't really break it apart, if that makes sense.
When I do speak to schools, businesses, whatever, I like to lead with routine versus commitment, because I think routines are vital for everyone. Much like yourself as a monk, you believe in structure. I know, think like a monk, you talk about routine. When things are challenging for you, do you have like a personal mantra or something that kind of reminds you to get back in gear? Because in my speech about routine versus commitment, we all are gonna have that, but the commitment reinforces the routine in those times when you don't feel like, sticking to that routine. What's your personal mantra or guideline?
Everything that is good for me is hard before I do it and easy after I do it. And everything that's bad for me is easy before I do it and is hard after I do it. Getting to the gym is hard. The feeling after leaving the gym is easy. Eating junk food is easy, but the feeling afterwards is hard. So I like to remind myself that if I don't feel like going to the gym right now, that's how it's meant to feel. It's gonna be hard. If I don't feel like eating a salad right now, that's how it's meant to feel. It's hard because it's good for me. So anything that is good for my body and good for my mind is hard to do right now, but it bears benefits afterwards. And anything that is not great for me to do right now, it's gonna be easy, but it's gonna create lots of pain afterwards. Right. And that reminder to me allows me to recognize it's okay, it's hard, because it's good for me. So I turn to that. When it's a bigger thing in life, a mantra that I love is, this only makes the story better. Whenever I fail, or whenever I lose, or whenever something goes wrong, I always say to myself, this only makes the story better. Because if you've failed, you've fallen, you've made mistakes, you're human, it's more relatable. When you tell your story one day, more people will connect to you. Whereas if your story was just win after win after win after win, you're unrelatable. And so it only makes the story better.
Jay, you seem really traditional in a lot of ways and then so progressive in others. I think when you have a mindset that's deeply rooted in history, some of those things are going to carry over. But you also seem to understand, okay, as life changes and as life evolves, we have to. We had Jason Kelce on the show, and he talked about the famous swipe right or left, whatever way it is, that got him Kylie. For you, when you think of like dating apps and the way that people try to meet one another now, how much better do you think that makes it, or do you think it's harder that way?
You have to look at through what's actually changed. So we have more choices, but all the studies show that humans are bad with more choice. The paradox of choice is a recent study that shows how when humans have more things to choose from, they always make bad choices. And so I think there's a big challenge in the fact that now you're exposed to more people. 25, 30 years ago, most people married someone in a 5-mile radius of where they grew up. So your friend knew them, your brother knew them, your family knew them, the person down the street knew them, someone knew them, and that's how you met them. Today, people are getting married to people from different cities, different countries, different cultures, and that comes with a set of challenges. Not that it's bad, it just requires more maturity, it requires more openness and wisdom. And so what I think we need to do is we need to be really clear about the values and vision of the relationship we want, because that hasn't changed. You could have married the person next door 25 years ago and they could have been abusive. They could have been a narcissist. And they probably were, and we just didn't think about it because people got arranged marriages and they didn't talk about it. It wasn't public knowledge. Just because you married the person next door doesn't mean they were right for you. That wasn't a good thing either. So I think we also have this nostalgic view of, the eyes crossed at the grocery store, and I dropped a bag of potatoes, and they came and picked them up with me, and oh my God, it was so romantic. It's like, yeah, but that person was a psycho. Like you didn't know that,
That's
right?
why they picked your potatoes.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Right? It's like, but you didn't talk about that. Like in the past, that people didn't talk about this.
Right.
Right? You have so many marriages that have physical abuse, domestic violence, verbal abuse going on background behind the scenes. No one even knows about it. But we met them next door. They were my sister's friend. Like, it was awesome. Like, we have this romantic view of the past, and I don't think that's healthy either. We have to move with the times. So one of the things I built recently is I partnered up with Match.com to build a values-based matching system. What this does is it allows you to do a short test we created where you get to learn your values, and everyone who joins that part of the app does the same. The goal for this was not to say I want you to find someone with the same values. The goal for me was now at least you can see someone's values up front. And when you meet them, you can check whether their values are aligned. Because here's the thing, no one walks around with their values stuck on the top of their forehead. Right. It takes years to figure someone's values out. But what if that becomes the thing you start talking about, checking out? When you meet someone and they say, oh yeah, I love my family, family's number one priority. Then you go to them, when did you last speak to your mom? And they're like, I don't know, I haven't spoken to her for 2 years. It's like, oh, all right, this person's not in alignment. Someone says to you, oh yeah, I'm ambitious, I love work. And then you go, all right, well, what are you building right now? And they're like, I don't know, I'm trying to figure it out, right? It's like, you can very quickly, when you talk about values, figure out whether someone is compatible for you and whether you're attracted to them and excited about them. And so to me, I'm more interested in making people clear about their vision and values, and that will make dating easier because that narrows the pool, that makes the choice easier, rather than if you're just basing it on looks, or if you're just basing it on a clever little caption or a funny thing they said about themselves. I mean, now you can just get ChatGPT to write the funniest thing and everyone's a comedian now, It's like, it's not hard to fake it. And so I think we have to look deeper to find a relationship that's gonna last longer. We have to look beyond looks to find a relationship that will last when the looks fade. Mm-hmm. We gotta look so much more at someone's heart than just how interesting they look on a page. And that only happens when you talk about vision and values.
My favorite Jay Shetty picture, Like this, I like all the red carpet pictures. I like all the different things that, the events you show up at, presiding over nuptials. All those pictures are cool, but the coolest picture is your high school picture, right? And I think it's because of the story you shared on Instagram about it, though. All the things people told you couldn't do, all the things people said you couldn't be. And it seems now that you are living in your purpose. And that purpose is a tree that's deeply rooted with a lot of branches. For people watching this show, Jay, how will they truly know that what they're doing, what they're pouring into, is them living in their purpose?
The first step of finding your purpose is collecting. Wherever you are right now, even if you hate your job, collect every skill, every person, every networking relationship. Collect. Literally see yourself as a collector of like gold coins. Even if you hate your job, you hate your career, collect everything you possibly can from this experience. And then move to the next thing and collect everything from there. And one day after you've done enough collecting, you're gonna start connecting the dots. So my first ever job was, I used to deliver newspapers in my area. All my friends who also delivered newspapers, they used to throw them on the train tracks. They never delivered them. So the guy who owned the newspaper company gave me more streets. So what did I learn? I learned when you do a good job, you get rewarded. My next job was I worked at Morrison's. Morrison's is our Walmart, like a grocery store. I used to stack shelves, I used to bring in pallets, I worked back of house. It was a hard job. I learned that not always just working hard leads to great rewards, right? The third job I had, I worked in retail. The fourth job I had, in one sense, after that, my fourth job was being a monk. I learned all the wisdom. I learned all the wisdom that I learned. The fifth job I had, I worked in the corporate world. I worked as a consultant. I learned negotiation. I learned sales. I learned connection. I learned understanding what people wanted and needed in different industries. Today, I'm living my purpose because I just connected all of that. everything I'm living today is as much management as it is monk, as it is Morrison's, as it is paper delivery. It's all of those things. And people think, no, there's one job that's gonna be my purpose. Everything you do today, everything all of you do today is this beautiful harmony and synergy of all the experiences you've had. That's what purpose is. And so purpose is not about finding the perfect job or the perfect title or the perfect thing. It's about just collecting experiences, collecting people, and then connecting it one day.
Just listen to you talk and knowing your success and watching your videos. Were you born different to be able to do what you're doing? Or with them, did those experiences make Jay Shetty?
When you actually study the greatest athletes of all time, even if they were born with it, they're still working harder than everyone.
But Randy Moss was 6'4", had a 40-inch vertical.
Sure,
ran
so
a 4.2.
physical.
You know, like the athlete side of it, but
you probably know a lot of guys that are 6'4" and can't do that. So, you know, I know a lot of people that are tall and built, but I know a lot of people that are attractive that are not actors on screen. I know a lot of people who can sing who aren't musicians. I know a lot of rappers that made it that have terrible verses, but they stuck it out.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you think about the amount of rappers that have terrible verses but have hit songs, but when you hear their bars, you're like, how did you make it? But they stuck around.
Yeah.
So consistency, like what's that famous quote? Like, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Like that, it's the oldest quote in the book, but it's so true. So for me, I would say that so much of it was nurture. So much of it was nurture. My parents were really scared I was gonna be a shy kid, so they forced me to go to public speaking and drama school when I was 11 years old. I hated it, but I went for 7 years. And when I walked out of there, I didn't know what to talk about, but I knew I had skills, but I didn't have something to talk about. But then when I became a monk, I had something to talk about. So I found the passion with the skills, because skills aren't good enough. What are you gonna do with it? And so I really believe in people nurturing their abilities and people investing in their abilities and people realizing that it's possible for them. Is it possible for me to be a basketball player or a football player? No, right? Physically, I'm not even in the 50th percentile, like I'm 90%, right? Like I'm like, I can't, right? There are certain things I just can't do. So I've got to be honest about that. But that's mainly sports, which requires a physicality to it. Or if you're a singer, but there's some singers who can't sing that well too. So, it's like, there's a lot of careers where sports is probably the one that you just can't mess around with, right? But then you get people like Allen Iverson, you get a few players who don't really fit the bill. And that's exception. They're not the rule, they're the exception where they don't have the physicality, but they're just talented. So I agree, I think sports is one of those things you can't break into if you don't have something you're born with. But 99% of other things, there's not many things that feel the same way as sports.
Jay, throughout the collection process of you discovering your purpose, what was your biggest pivot? That's that one moment, and we always ask all of our guests, this is the one moment you can look back on and say, without this happening to me or for me, I wouldn't be who I am today.
So the reason why I love the name of the podcast is because my life is full of pivots. There's not one, everything's a pivot.
Yeah.
So instead of getting a corporate job, which I was destined to get, I decided to become a monk. That was a pivot. Then, when I was meant to be a monk, I thought I was gonna be a monk for the rest of my life, but I left because it didn't feel right anymore. That was a pivot. Went back to the corporate world. I was just about getting steady in my job. I was gonna get married to my wife, and I went, this isn't my purpose, I'm gonna leave. That was a pivot. Started making videos. When I started making videos, I made these 4-minute videos, they went viral. I wanted to launch a podcast, and every podcast company said, don't do a podcast, people want to listen to you for 4 minutes, no one wants to listen to you for an hour. So I did it, that was a pivot. Then I had a hit podcast, I wanted to write a book. 14 out of 17 publishers said, don't call it Think Like a Monk, no one wants to think like a monk. I wrote the book anyway, that was a pivot. Then so it's like, my life has just been full of pivots. I actually think all I care about is pivots. I don't actually want to be ever not pivoting, because that's what we all have to do. And I think the longer you take to pivot, the harder it gets. There's a beautiful quote I read the other day that I love, and it says, the longer you stay on the wrong train, the more expensive it is to get back home.
Yeah.
And so actually, the more you pivot, because I started pivoting when I became a monk at 21, 22 years old, because I pivoted that early, I've got so comfortable pivoting. So I would encourage everyone to not be scared of the pivot, because the pivot becomes the platform that creates the next moment of your purpose. Whereas if you stay where you are, that's what kind of crushes everything. And you get more scared to move the more years go by. And so I just keep pivoting. Even now, like, you know, we're trying to do, I mean, we've been talking about this. We're doing TV and film, we're doing production, we're doing all this stuff. And in one sense, someone say, well, Jay, what qualification do you have? I'm like, I just got to keep pivoting. Life's full of pivots. And I've learned that when I look back at my life, the best decisions I made were pivots. They weren't staying in the same place. That was never the good decision. So to answer your question, yeah, I've got a million pivots, and I hope there's a million more that surprise everyone. And I'm just collecting experiences. You know, today I get to sit with you guys. Like, how dope is this? Like, you know, I get to sit with all of you from this world. I was laughing at my life. I was like, you were talking about, like, I was in Bad Boys like a year ago, sitting here with you guys today. Yesterday I was with Carmelo Anthony. Then I was with a mindfulness expert. Then my monk teacher's coming into LA to live with me for 2 weeks on Sunday. And my life is just made up of me collecting the random, and I want to die having just had these beautiful exchanges, meaningful exchanges with people that I maybe would never have crossed paths with, all because I was trying to help people. And how beautiful is that? Why would I say no to having the opportunity to have this rich life of experiences? And I think when you get lost in your cocoon and your echo chamber and your little world, which we all do, you miss out on the joy that comes from, you know, I remember when Ryan realized that I listened to the game, and that was like a big moment for him. And it was like, I was like, yeah, like all we did growing up in London was listen to American rap and hip hop. That's all we did. And you wouldn't know that from the way we dress, the way we look, from where we come from. But when you can find commonalities and similarities, you know, the black monk, like who would have known? You know, it's like...
Hey, it's official now.
Man, we never getting away from this.
Jay
now.
called me the black monk too?
Come on, Jay. You can leave. We got to stay around him.
But who would have ever thought that a professional athlete, a former American football player who's had so much success in his career would call himself the black monk? Like, just, I would never have guessed that in a million years. And that's the beauty of this amazing life that we live. Yeah. That me and Ryan could sit and have something in common when we're so different, have such different backgrounds and different upbringings. We can both like the game and both like the idea of being monks. Like, that is I love that. That's what makes life beautiful.
I actually, and not a Hindu monastery, but I actually spent a lot of time in a Greek Orthodox Christian monastery with Troy Polamalu. And the life was fascinating because those people seemed like the most authentic humans in the world. They were 100% comfortable in who they were. And so I understand when you say you met your monk teacher, you're like, I want that.
Yeah.
Like whatever that thing is, that's what I want. And you know, you mentioned commonalities. I'm excited. We're working on something now. I'm excited about continuing to move forward in that. I do have one last question.
Yeah.
I have like a million of them, but we'll talk about them off air one day. You know, you mentioned pivoting, that your entire life has been a pivot. And when you decide that you're gonna dedicate your life and to the monastic lifestyle, that's a forever change. And you had to move out of that to move into something else that continued to move you towards your purpose. How do people decipher whether moving on or quitting or changing careers or letting a relationship go is a pivot instead of a failure?
What's interesting about that question is that it's actually all in your head, because what you label it as is what it becomes. So when I left the monastery, I thought it was a failure. And guess what? That's what it was then. It was a failure. Now when I look back, I see it as a pivot. And often when you're making the decision, it feels like a failure in the moment. More often than not, it will feel like a failure in the moment. But when you look back, you'll see it as a pivot. Because what you realize is that if you keep seeing it as a failure, you'll keep failing. And when I left the monastery and felt like a failure, which I did, I realized that at one point that mindset didn't serve me anymore. There was only so much I could feel sorry for myself. There's only so much I could pity myself. There's only so much I could feel like I wish I was still there. And I had to own my life and take responsibility and say, what did I love about it? I loved the fact that I got to study wisdom and share it. I loved the fact that we woke up early and we meditated. I loved the fact that we had a routine that made me feel good. Guess what? I can do that all now. I can still do that. I can still build that into my life. That's why I wrote the book, Think Like a Monk, Not Live Like a Monk, because I'm not living like a monk anymore, but I'm still thinking like one. So to me, it's all about how you label it. And chances are you will always label the end of something as a failure. Because again, society has conditioned you to believe that ending something or leaving something incomplete is a failure. So you will in the moment always think it's a failure. But the quicker you realize it's a pivot, the more you'll move towards your purpose. And so I would just encourage anyone to say, if something's no longer serving you, if something's no longer fulfilling you, if you've tried everything you possibly can and you can't save, fix, or solve this thing, let it be. You will feel like a failure, expect it, and then pivot. Allow yourself to feel like a failure and then pivot.
Our mantra here is accept, adjust, and move forward. And also realize it's never too late to pivot.
Never too late to pivot, I love that.
So the tour, that's the reason we were able to catch you here in New York. Just for people who are looking to tap in, people who want to get an opportunity to lay eyes on Jay Shetty and absorb some of that wisdom, but also experience some of the things you've experienced. Where are you going? How do they do that? How do they tap in?
Yeah, I'm really excited. For the first time ever, we're doing a podcast tour. So we have 15 cities, 15 surprise guests across North America and Canada. I'll be interviewing people's favorites from the show, some new ones as well. And what I'm really excited about, if I'm honest, is it's gonna be walking into a room where when you look left and right, the person next to you listens to the same thing you do. So the amount you have in common with the people around you is huge. There's very few places in the world that we go into anymore where you feel connected to someone before you walk into the room. Now you can walk in and the person next to you has a favorite episode, you have a favorite episode, the energy is gonna be electric. And I'm gonna be sharing wisdom and insights that we haven't before. I think there's something special about memories that are made in person. In New York, we're gonna be at the theater at MSG, so that's gonna be incredible. In LA, we're at the Greek Theater, which is beautiful. Then we're going Chicago, Dallas, Florida, Seattle, Vancouver, Toronto, Colorado, Philadelphia. So we're doing 15 cities, and you can go to jayshetty.me/tour, and you'll find all the dates, all the tickets. And I hope people come out and leave with a connection with other people. That's my goal. I think we're all looking for, I'm hoping people come there and leave with a date, right? Like it's like, you see someone you like, they care about the same stuff you do. Yeah. So, how rare it is to go to a place where people care about the same thing you do. They're listening to the same show. You could leave with a date. You could leave with a proposal.
See, it's like Match.com in person.
In person.
You created it, and now you're bringing everybody together to do it.
Yeah.
Nah, Jay, this was amazing, man. This is something we've been wanting to do for a while. If I'm being honest, it's something that I didn't think was possible a while ago. But to meet you, man, to get to understand you a little better personally, and then now to sit with you, you truly are everything you seem to be from the outside, man. So best of luck on the tour. Can't wait to work with you further, but this was amazing.
Now, all of you, when I met you in person, you're like big scary dudes, But it's like, you guys, just the kindness, the genuineness, the curiosity, the depth of the questioning. I love the skepticism, and that's important, right? You need that. I think it's great when people push back and question and check and, reflect on stuff. And, I was blown away, Ryan, by your hospitality, your kindness. When I came out to the game to meet you, all the Zoom calls we've had, I've really been humbled by how grounded and humble you are.
Man, thank you.
It is just, it's so rare in this world to meet someone who's operating at the top of their game, but is willing to make everyone else feel like a star.
Appreciate that.
You do that. Watching you in your element of literally being on TV, jumping off in between me and you having deep conversations on the sideline, jumping back on and off, watching you do that. You're magnificent at what you do.
Thank you, brother.
But I was more impressed by who you were in just connecting. And so I want the world to know that you're even better in person. Congrats on the Emmy nomination. You deserve it.
Thank you.
You deserve to win it. And on top of all of that, it's just great to be around great men and great people. I think being around great men is something a lot of men need right now. And it's amazing that all of you are setting such an awesome example of what men can aspire to do, especially men who want to be powerful, make an impact, but then have a deep and good heart as well. So thank you for the example you're setting for men.
Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah.
That was dope.
Thank you, man. You guys are the best.
Cool.
You guys are awesome. I mean it. I mean every word.
Sure,
I
appreciate
mean every
you, brother.
word, man.
Sure.
You guys are the
That's
best.
crazy, man.
You guys are the best. No,
That
you
was
guys
really
are
cool.
Appreciate you, brother. So what is this, man? Is this custom?
No. This is a brand that I love out of France
Yeah,
called
that's
La
nice.
Mer. It's probably one of my favorite brands. They make
That's nice.
they make good
To the show, Charles.
Appreciate it.
Peanut Tillman, one of the best to do it. We'll talk about the fact that you were kind of like 2 plays away from an historic milestone in the NFL. This is Channing Crowder. I'm Ryan Clark. This is Fred Taylor, Pivot Fam. Thank you for pivoting with us. So I'm trying to figure out like where to start, right? There's so much to your story, your journey, and where we are today. And a lot of that deals with football. But I want to know, what is it like being a part of an FBI raid where the person in the raid goes, hey man, ain't you Charles Tillman?
It's kind of funny, but I would always say you got way more problems to think. You got more important problems to think about than me being Charles Tillman. Like, and then once I said that, guys were like, oh shit. Like, okay, this is real. Yeah, I had a fanboy moment, but okay, I got some problems because I got the feds knocking on my door. And it just happens to be Charles Tillman and a bunch of other federal agents. But yeah, okay, stuff just got real. And then it kind of, Charles Tillman, the Bears, all that goes out the window. And then they start thinking about like, damn, I'm finna get arraigned. Reality sets in really fast. And my little blurb of like, hey, I'm Peanut Tillman, Peanut Punch, that goes out the window like real quick. Once I say, hey, you got more important problems to think about, bruh, like.
I feel like I would play along for a little bit. It'd be like, oh yeah, man, you know, man, I had a lot of forced fumbles. I played the Super Bowl, you know what I mean? Like have a, the autograph.
Hey, what up, bro? You been punked.
One of the things
No, your ass going to jail.
I think one of the things that we did so well, though, the group of guys on my particular squad that I worked with, when I first started, I lied all the time. I lied about who I was. And if you give someone enough doubt, they won't believe it. Or they'll believe you if you just go along with it. But the group of people that I worked with, my partners or my squad mates, they would do more lying than me. They're like, man, hell no, that ain't no damn Peanut Tillman. He looked like a peanut. Why would Peanut Tillman be out here? Man, that's Wendell. That's Wendell Thompson. So that was like my alias, Wendell Thompson. So I started writing my name, Wendell Thompson, on folders and stuff, just so people wouldn't recognize my name. And then they would say, hey, Wendell, hey, what's up? And then, like, damn, I thought, hey, man, anyone ever told you look like Peanut Tillman? I'm like, man, I get that all the time, bro. I get that all the time. Or sometimes I just be like, no, I ain't never heard that before. Who is that? I play along with it. It was fun. It was
I love
really
the fact they went Wendell because that's so black.
That is a black man.
I want you to answer that question that they would ask the, what do you call the assailant? Why in the hell,
I'm a pocket watcher. I looked up how much money you made.
why would you go be an FBI? That's dangerous. You played a dangerous game
Right.
and then go and do something else dangerous?
Right.
That don't make no sense, bro.
It does because of how I grew up with my dad. So my dad was in the Army, right? My dad served his 20 years, and my dad was G.I. Joe. I'm an 80s baby. So Roadblock, the whole G.I. Joe crew, Snake Eyes, Lady J, Hawkeye, like all those, like I thought that was just the dopest show when I was a kid, right? So my dad being in the military, I had access to tanks and Apaches and Cobras and APCs, the Deuce and a Half. Like I got to grow up around all these vehicles and this equipment. And I just thought it was the coolest thing that my dad could do that. I would go to work with my dad when you could bring your kid to work day. And I thought my dad was like the dopest thing ever. And then we traveled. I lived overseas. I lived in Germany. And I thought, to me, that was fun. So I always wanted to play football. Always, since day one. And I said, look, if football don't work out, I'm gonna go join the Army. I'm gonna just be like my dad. It worked out great for him. I had a great life. And then All right, I get a scholarship. All right, well, I guess I'm not going to the military right after college or right after high school. I play my 4 years, but so, well, hell, if I don't get drafted, I'll go in as an officer. I'll go do some SF stuff, try to do something really, really cool and fun because I like guns and shooting and stuff. So yeah, let me do that. Well, I get drafted. All right, well, let's see how long I play and I'll just kind of go from there. And then I played 13 years. So then when I retired, I still wanted to serve. And if my agent was here right now, he would tell you the day I was interviewing him, he was like, what do you want to do after football? I said, probably federal law enforcement. And it was just something that I always wanted to, I just always wanted to do public service. I wanted to do my part and serve. It wasn't in the military, but I did it in a different way by serving in the FBI. And it was an amazing experience. I've worked with some amazing people. We've done some amazing things. You all have no idea what that organization does that you don't know about, and they're saving lives every single day.
What are some of the things in what you can tell us, right? Because we obviously know you can't get into detail about everything that you've seen or done or been a part of. But if you could just give us a broad view of what are some of the things that happen in the daily life of an FBI agent or the agency that saves lives that the citizens of this country don't know, can't recognize, or be appreciative of?
Terrorist attacks. I'll give you one that was actually in the news. There was I believe it was the governor of Michigan. A few years ago, there was a plot to kidnap her. And through investigative means, the FBI were able to infiltrate this particular group. And with that, I believe there was an informant, and he told his handler, they get the information, they make sure it's credible. Yeah, this is legit. We got to go and protect or arrest these people before they kidnap this governor. And they went and did that before, and I'm sure the people, the actors, the bad actors involved, they had no idea what was happening when the FBI hit their door and was like, hey, the gig's up, we know what you guys are about to do, and all those guys got charged. Like, so it's little things like that. It'll be a bomb. You might have a person who wants to incite chaos and have a bomb and shoot people, and then you get a tip. You look into it, you do what you do, and you figure out where they live, you do your surveillance, you figure out a pattern of life, and it's like, all right, what's the best time to take a course of action to arrest or take down this individual? And you do that, and for the most part, our missions are successful, and then you're just like, yeah, but we don't sit down, we don't talk in front of a camera, and to me, that's the coolest thing. Like they're not looking for success. They're not looking for their name in a paper or a camera. They're just doing it just because it's the right thing to do. I'm saving lives. I'm protecting lives. Ever since 9/11, like the mission has changed. Like we got to protect the homeland. And when you like legit do it, you're protecting the homeland, and you see what this person was trying to do, and then you actually can save those lives and get it before it actually happens. Kind of like a Minority Report. You're just like, hell yeah, like we just rescued this lady who was being held against her will out of a house. Like that's something we did. Is we got a tip one day, and it was like, hey, this person's being held against her will. Come up with a plan. And it's like, all right, well, what do we do? All right, where they live at? This, and you're trying to figure out, all right, let's do a mock-up of the house. Let's do the mock-up of the house, and let's do runs. What I mean by runs is like a walkthrough, and you walk through how you're going to take the house. All right, I'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, hit it, go. All right, switch up the order. All right, I'll be 2, just switch up the order. All right, I'm the 5th man in, switch up the order. All right, and you just have all these contingencies that are in place if something bad happens, or just if something doesn't go as planned, which it always does, and you just got to be able to react. Joe and I, we used to talk about this. It's performance on demand. Like you got to be in that job. It's like a firefighter. It's performance on demand. You don't get to warm up. You don't get to well, let me get a couple practice shots in to make sure my aim is on. Like it's something that you have to do right now. You're 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, midnight, 11 o'clock right now. You gotta go. The active shooter in Highland Park, that was maybe 3 years ago, 4th of July. I was at home. Highland Park's probably 15 minutes from here. Got a phone call, looked at it. I called my TL. I called Carl. I said, hey, man, I think there's an active shooter going on right now. I'm not. So he made a phone call. He called me back. And he's like, hey, deploy, get there now. I get there. Everything had kind of taken place. And then, it's bodies. And then, it was a pretty gruesome scene. I'll spare you all the details. It was a pretty gruesome scene. But then it's like, all right, let's go. This is what we've been training for. Like, let's go find a guy that did this.
Right. You mentioned performance on demand, right?
Yeah.
The NFL and the FBI, two very different three-letter leagues. But there's some overlap.
Absolutely.
Right? In terms of discipline, structure, preparation. Your time in the NFL, how did the habits you created in the NFL help you be successful over at the Bureau?
Processing information quickly. What I mean by that, and DBs, linebacker, I'm saying, okay, I look at the formation, okay, I'm 8 yards off, we're in this man, okay, let me do my back pedal, I'm gonna take 2 steps, I'm trying to clear the 3-step, okay, once I clear the 3 steps, he's back into a 5-step, okay, 5-step, he's only can run so many routes in a 5, like, as the play is going on, I'm processing this information. When we do our runs and we kick indoors, when we do our CQB, I'm going into a house that I've never been before a day in my life. Like, and I have to process it as soon as I get in the door. If I'm the number 1 man, I go left. Number 2 man goes right. Number 3, he clears the center, but he clears it from, right to left. The number 4 man clears it from left to right. And then we do our primary scan, our secondary scan, back to center. I got no work. Hey, where are my danger areas? Do I have an object in front of me? Do I do a route extension? Hey, left's clear, center clear, danger area left, move. We move in the room. We go to the next door. Field 1, field 2. I got my breacher. I got my number 1 guy ready, on you. Open the door, boom. And you just do it all over again. And you're constantly just reading that room. And you do it enough to where you get good and you get really good with the flow of how you do things. Mm-hmm. How you can do it at an HR speed. And it's kind of, maybe I am crazy. It's fun because you get really good at how to fight in rooms.
Nut. Football's fun.
Yeah.
If I miss this tackle, I see him make it. Back there, he might get 8 more yards. We good.
Absolutely.
Chad, if he score a touchdown, got another drive.
Go get him off it.
Yeah.
You're talking about this like you can get your ass shot and killed.
You can. Yeah. You can 100% get shot and killed. We're really good at what we do.
But have you ever walked in somewhere and been like, oh no, hell no. Them motherfuckers they in there going. Cause I tell all
yes,
service members.
I have. When I didn't have the tactics, when I didn't have the training, when I didn't know how to do certain things, 100%, I could think like that. But having the training, so I literally went to, what's the name of the school? Mid-South. I went to Mid-South. It's in Mississippi. It's just like one of the number 1 shooting schools in the country. And they sent me and a bunch of other guys, and we went there I think I went there for a week for their level 1 firearms. And all we did was just shoot for 5 days. And they just teach you how to get good at this shooting like that was all we did. And then you go to another school and you just learn CQB. And you're learning from like the top dogs. And they come down and they teach you and you're just like, okay. And then I would come back here and then I would, myself and a couple of other instructors, like we would teach the Chicago division, or I would go somewhere else and teach other people. I've been to Kenya and I've taught CQB tactics. Like it's no different than being a coach. You know how they have all these internships with coaches and stuff? Like, same thing with FBI. Like, I went overseas and I taught some people how to be better shooters, how to be better fighters in rooms how to protect themselves so they can protect their citizens of their country.
But the thing I want to know is, and I love the parallel that Fred drew to the NFL and FBI, and Channing saying, hey, the difference is, though, these are life and death matters, right? It's not just about wins and losses. Also in football, early on in your career, you don't really have a conversation about how things are going to go. Right, what you're going to be told to do. And then later in your career, you can talk to your coach and say, nah, coach, I don't like that coverage, or I feel like this might be better for the team in the leadership role. But it feels like it would be different in the FBI. And so when you're asked to do something that doesn't sit right with you, you're asked to do something that isn't part of your constitution as a man, how do you deal with those situations when the job is so important, but also continuing to be the man you are is important as well?
So one of the reasons, let me start off by saying this. FBI was great to me. I did awesome. I worked with an amazing group of individuals. I think some of the things that they're doing now, I personally didn't agree with.
Like what?
Immigration. Like I didn't agree with how the administration came in and tried to make individuals do things against it didn't sit right. An example being immigration, right? Everybody was told you're gonna go after like the most dangerous criminals. But what you see on TV and what actually was happening is like people weren't going after that. And personally, that didn't sit right with me. That didn't sit right with my conscience. Like, you have the ability to refuse an order. Like, just because they say go arrest this person, like, okay, yeah, you're my superior. Like, I don't have to go do that. You can't make me go do that. I'm not in the military. You gave me an order, but I can totally refuse that order. At the end of the day, I want to be on the right side of history when it's all said and done. Do I think they're individuals in the organization? Do they like doing some of the stuff that they're doing? Absolutely not. I think they hate it. I think I was in a different position because of my previous career. I made enough money to where I could just walk away and say, you know what, guys? I'm okay. I think I'm good. My first 8 years, I've been solid. We were doing some good things. Some of the stuff you guys are doing now, I don't necessarily agree with. And that's not in Chicago. That comes from Washington. And I left in good terms with people and my friends, and I don't have like a sour taste or bitter taste in my mouth about the FBI. I learned a lot. They taught me a good skill, and I was looking at the Obama pivot that you all did. And this holds true. And he said, don't ever think that you don't belong at a table.
Yep.
So when I went to the academy, I was a little intimidated. I ain't even gonna lie to you. I'm sitting next to somebody that went to Harvard, and I'm sitting next to this lawyer, and I'm just like, damn, I'm just from Coppers Cove, Texas, trying to, I got a bachelor's degree and a master's degree in emergency management. It ain't nothing in law or like Harvard. But when you apply yourself and you doing all the things that all the other people are doing from all these prestigious, these very prestigious institutions, and I sit right there with them, and I'm like, I'm killing it just like you. And you went to Harvard and you don't know how to do this. Are you serious? And it just made me think like, oh man, why did I ever doubt myself? Why did I ever doubt myself? I can do this job. I can do that job or this job or your job or whatever. At least I can do these jobs. Like, just don't ever doubt yourself. And that was something, when he said that was the first thing I thought about, was when I went to the FBI Academy. I sat back and I actually doubted myself, because I was like, damn, okay, FBI, like, you got scientists and you got accountants and you got the upper echelon of smart individuals. Oh man, I'm good.
Is Quantico like the TV show?
No. I didn't particularly like Quantico because to me it felt fake. it felt fake in the sense of, you got to think, I went in at 36. So I'm older, like I've had a career. I know how to talk to people. And the biggest thing that I noticed was individuals didn't know how to talk. Like, you got to be able to talk to people to get information. And it's not a secret. It's just like, hey, Shannon, what's going on? How you feeling, man? How you do? Like, depending on who the person I'm talking to, I'm gonna switch up my language. I can kind of code switch a little bit to help, to help the situation so we can communicate. Okay, if it's somebody on, a different part of town, okay, I might use a little bit of slang. Okay, if I got a business guy, okay, I might not use the slang. I might use these types of words. Like, you just kind of, we used to say, you, me, same. Like, so, all right, whoever I'm trying to work with or talk to, well, let me implement some of what they're doing. If he's sitting like that, okay, I'm gonna sit like that. And I'm just gonna mirror him, and we gonna dialogue, and we gonna communicate. Yeah, okay, yeah. Like, you learn all these different techniques to help you engage with individuals as you speak to them. And it's just one of those things that I actually took that in life. Like, I can use that in life, talking to you guys, talking just to individuals. And it's like, I learned a lot of good skills, man, when I worked there. It was good.
That was a bold decision to leave the Bureau, I believe. Yeah. And it made me go back to your Players Tribune letter, the letter to your younger self, when you basically, talked about how you moved around and was kind of telling yourself, these moves are gonna make you resilient, much like that decision. One, I wanna kind of get into a little bit of, those moves, being a military kid, but I also wanna ask you, because the photo in the Tribune, did you tell your younger self to avoid that barber? Because he chopped you up, bro.
Can I see the picture?
I was talking about, that's a bad picture, bro.
He chopped you up, bro.
Oh.
Like, you smooth and the dreads was smooth, the locks, but he got you.
Check it. So I lived in Einzeltum, Germany, right? And where we lived at in Germany, we lived in a small German town, and it was a nuke base. My dad worked at this nuclear base in Germany, and it was super small. So it wasn't like the traditional military bases that you see today. It was super small. So my dad cut my hair. All the dads cut their boys' hair because it was so far to go get haircuts, to go to the grocery store. So my pops had to cut my hair. Now, at the time, that's Germany. That's like the
they don't really know.
80s, 90s.
Yeah.
Right.
I was fresh.
I was fresh because everybody else had looked the same way.
And then you a military dad, you ain't telling him too much.
Yeah.
Ain't no back talking.
Everybody everyone hair was the same way. But don't sleep on the female German barbers. I used to get chopped up by a German woman. All the MPs, all the little GIs, they used to come in there, and these German barbers, they used to get up and just
ready to go.
And they would hook you up. Now, they didn't do a razor line, but for you to get free like that, they could do that all day. Maybe with not a razor. I swear to you, they could do that all day long. Hit you with, you know what I'm saying, with a little even Steven. They could hook it up. You just had to do with what you had. That was all we had to work with. So from kindergarten to 12th grade, I went to 12 different schools. And 3rd grade, 3 schools, 6th grade, 3 schools. Sometimes I was in school a year. Sometimes I was in school 6 months. It just depended. It just depended on where my dad was or where we were going. And I actually enjoyed it. I enjoyed every minute of the schools that we went to, whether it was down south, on the West Coast, in Germany, the Midwest. Like, to me, it was fun. It was an adventure. And I remember talking to a kid on the south side, and we're at my granny crib, and they were like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Oh yeah, we finna go to Germany." I'm like, "Germany?" I'm like, "Yeah, you ain't never been?" And to me, it was normal because all of my military friends, they had all lived in other countries. They lived in France. They had lived in Italy. So to us, all that was normal, like all the traveling. But I was talking to a kid, and they had never even left the state. And I'm just like, how you ain't never left the state? You ain't never left the city? Like, you ain't even never been downtown? Like, damn, what's wrong with you? But in your mind as a child, like, I couldn't process that. To me, it was foreign. Like, everyone goes to Germany, everyone travels, because it was all I knew. I was born into it. So for me, it was a normal thing for me to live overseas and have friends and try to learn different languages and talk and learn all these new things. To me, that was a normal thing.
I mean, you couldn't write in cursive in 3rd grade. That's pretty bad.
Mr. Pincher, that was his name. I went to South. I went to this school called South, Mr. Pincher. And I was in Fort Riley, Kansas. And at that particular time, we didn't start cursive. It was like the next semester. And then I go to Ohio. I went to Urbana, Ohio. I got a story about that. I go to Urbana, Ohio, and he's like, all right, yeah, we're writing in cursive. I was like, I know about it, but Miss Wolf at my old school, she ain't taught us shit. It's on the lesson plan, but that's for next semester. That's in the springtime. We in the fall, boss. So he put a damn alphabet sticker, and I had to get it on the go. That was the one bad thing about school was if one school was doing something that the other school wasn't and you hadn't started it, I was behind. Math, oh my God. I couldn't tell you how many times I cried doing multiplication or division. When I went to Miss Harold's class in 3rd grade and she was like, get on the board. And I was like, I don't know my times tables like that to do the division. So I would like 1 times 1, 2, or 5 times 1. And I would do the whole thing. And she would just sit up there and everyone's looking at you. Oh, bro, that was the worst. That was the worst doing that in her class. Like, God dang.
Did it build something in you? Because it's funny to correlate, like you're saying, in any room you can talk. Like you're saying, we all do. I tell you, I do. I speak for myself.
Yeah.
If I'm sitting there with corporate dudes, I talk differently.
Absolutely.
I'm with the homeboys and cooking barbecue on the back porch.
Absolutely.
I talk differently. There's an old saying, the military kids are weird because you don't really get a group to be with and all that. Did you ever feel like almost like an outcast going into a situation? Because you're American, now you're in Germany. You don't speak the language,
so
you can't do cursive. Like
I felt like an outcast when I wasn't around military brats or military kids.
Yeah.
I remember coming here in like 3rd or 6th grade. I had just came from Germany. And I go to a school in the South Side. This is my voice. My dad didn't let us use certain words around the house. I was like, yeah, me and Ryan what'd you say? Sorry, Ryan and I are about to go to the store. We're about to, so my pops would correct me. When I went to Chicago and I started talking, and all the kids, they from the city, why you sound like that? You sound like a white boy. Why you talk white? Why you do this? Why you do that? And I was like, what you talking about? That's how I talk. Like, I can't, what y'all doing right there? I can't do that in my house. My pops don't stand for that. I have to say, and I speak in a certain way. He demands that. Like, I have to do that. And I just grew up doing that. It was what I knew. It was second nature. And then having kids, when my kids would say certain, what'd you say? And I'm not even in the military, but it was the foundation for me. Well, no, we gonna sound like we got some sense. And we gonna talk and we gonna speak a certain way. And we gonna do things a certain way. Like, prime example, we just came from a family reunion in Texas. And my youngest we were finna get on the plane and she had this bonnet. I was like, okay, we finna leave, hey, I'm cool with you wearing a bonnet, but you won't wear this thing out in public.
Straight up.
You ain't wearing this bonnet out in public. But even on the plane, no ma'am.
Yep.
When you need to be in the house and put your bonnet on, by all means, wear the bonnet. Wear it all day, go outside, in the back, play, do you, boo. But when you with me, when you were with Pops, you will not be wearing that bonnet because I think you need to look a certain way when you leave your house. And I'm not even saying you gotta be all dolled up, but you won't be with a bonnet with me. My biggest pet peeve, America, my biggest pet peeve is when I see bonnets in public. In airports, that's just my personal thing. Like, I can't do it, ladies. I'm sorry. Like that's just.
To your point about children, we're all girl dads.
Yeah.
Right? And
I got 3 of them.
Yeah, so we've all raised, young women, and there's a different connection.
Yeah.
Like it just is. Like, I love Jordan. Me and Jordan have conversation. That's my son. We could talk. Me and Jordan could not talk. And I'm like, I know he's okay.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't talk to my girls, they're older. If I don't talk to my girls for a couple of days, hey, baby, how you doing?
Yeah.
Just want to tell you I love you. I'm thinking of you, right? And for you, your daughter needed a heart. She needed a heart transplant. And you went through finding out she needed that transplant. You went through her getting the transplant and then the recovery. As a father, how difficult was it to deal with the entire journey of knowing that your baby could die and being there for as a dad?
It was a beautiful experience. It was a scary experience. It was a sad experience. It was a lonely experience. I mean, there were so many emotions in that time when she got sick. And I remember the first day when the doctor said, she goes, hey, there's a chance your daughter might die. So you might, because I was just like real cool, real calm, trying not to cry. I was like, we good, we good. And she must have thought I was a little too calm. And she says, hey, it's a chance she might die. So you might want to call some people. Because this is like, I don't think you understand, like, hey, this is like really bad. She might not make it through the night. So I was like, okay. And then we had a friend, Sarah Buckley was there. So I said, hey, watch her real quick. And I went to the bathroom and just lost it. Cried my little heart out. Hard. And I got on the phone and I called my dad. And I was like, yo, they say she's finna die. And I'm like, and I was just like, they say she's finna die. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. And he said, hey, son, calm down. Here's what you got to do. Be strong. Take care of your family. I'm on a plane. I'll be there tonight. And I was like, all right. And it was all he said was like, hey, be calm. Go take care of your family. So I got to take care of her family. I'm trying to take care of Jackie. I'm trying to be cool. And then I only had another daughter, one other kid at the time. We get to the hospital and they immediately put her like in this paralytic. They put her in a coma, self-induced coma. And we're there and we're trying to understand all these big words that they're expressing to you. And you just feel helpless. Like, we all have made enough money, so if something's wrong, like, you can just go buy something or fix this or do that. It wasn't nothing money could do. And for the first time in my life, I felt helpless as a dad. Because as men, you're a protector. You want to be able to provide and protect for your kids. And I was still somewhat fairly a new dad because my oldest was 2. So I had only been a dad 2 years. So that part was tough. Because I didn't feel like a man. I didn't feel like I was doing my job. 1, as a man, 2, as a husband, 3, as a dad. So that part was hard to deal with. The other part about the whole thing was, in order for her to live, your kid got to die or your kid got to die. Mm-hmm. You love your girls just as much as I love mine. Right?
Yeah.
So I felt...
What's that prayer like, though, when you're praying for your daughter's life?
There was no prayer. I didn't say I stopped believing in God. I just didn't know how to pray for a heart. Because how do I ask God for a heart? But your baby got to die. Somebody has to die in order for your child to live. And I felt very conflicted praying, asking for a heart. It didn't make sense to me. And I got a phone call from Jared Baldwin, my college head coach.
He recruited me at LSU.
Okay, yeah. So Baldwin calls me, and he was a pastor. And he calls me, and we have a discussion, and he just was like, and I expressed to him the story I just told. And he goes, look, Peanut, I don't have all the answers, but I do know one thing. You know how your coordinator, they got faith in you to lock down that number 1 receiver, and they got faith in you to come up with the game plan, and you travel with this guy and you do your thing. He was like, yeah. He was like, well, think of God like in the same manner. You know, he's the coordinator, but at the same time, you know, you got to put faith in him to go lock this situation down. Think about you being a coordinator, and he's got to lock this situation down. Put your faith in your coordinator, or put your faith in the player, and he gonna take care of everything for you. It's in his plan. He got it. Just trust me on this. And I just remember sitting there thinking like, okay. He put it in like the most simplest football analogy, and I was able to understand what he was preaching or what he was saying. And that day, I started praying. That day, I started praying for a heart. And it happened to us twice. We were in the room, and they said, hey, we got a heart. We're going to go get it. We're waiting. And then probably about 5-6 hours into it, they say, yeah, it wasn't a good match. We had to decline it. And I remember watching Jackie she kind of like melted to the ground. And I felt so helpless. I felt so helpless in that moment. Just like, okay, it wasn't right. There's something gonna shake. And then maybe a month or two later, I was asleep. The doctor calls me. He's like, hey, I got great news. We got a heart. And I was like, hell yeah. Shit. Somebody died. Like, I'm waiting for this moment. Like, and as happy as I was in like a second, it all just left my body, and I was filled with like sadness, because I wanted to know about the donor heart or the donor baby or the donor family. And it's this weird, like, yeah, she's getting a heart. Damn, somebody died. And then it goes away. And then they're prepping her for surgery, and you're like, yeah, she's gonna get a heart. Yes. Damn, this is someone's worst day of their life. They're grieving the loss of their baby. So it was a great day, but it was also a sad day, because I was up and down. And to this day, I'll still listen to her heart. You know, I'll sit there and just listen to it sometimes. And this baby Armando was the donor, and I got his name tatted under my watch right here. He was like I think it was about 3-4 months himself, and he had passed. But I'm thankful that his mom were able to donate his organs, because her decision alone blessed us, blessed more families. And because of that, we started our foundation, the Cornerstone Foundation, Charles Truman Cornerstone Foundation. And through her original blessing of just saying yes, and then what our foundation has been able to do to bless other families in the greater Chicago area, in the Carolinas, in the Charlotte area, like, it truly has been a blessing, a godsend, and I can't think of life any other way. To me, it was just like our new normal. When she had her new heart and her zipper, and, taking to get the doctor to get meds and blood draws, like, to us, it was just normal.
We've done a couple hundred shows, over 300. I don't know how many. But I can tell you hands down, and I'm not just saying it because you're here, but that's my absolute favorite story since we started, man. God is so good, bro.
Yeah.
Man, wow. I'm sitting here thinking about John Q and different scenes in the movie.
It was literally a John Q moment.
You know what I'm saying?
It was literally a John Q moment. Like, I would have did anything. Hey, take me.
Right.
My boy is going to live. My boy will bury me. Yes, I felt the same way Denzel did in that movie.
But you received the heart. She received the heart, but you weren't out the woods. Like, at what moment does a parent really get opportunity to relax? Like,
you don't, because it's gonna happen again. At some point, I'll have to do the whole thing again. And it's even scarier now because she's 17. She plays flag football. She's on the dive team, wrestling team. She's done all these things.
It's normal.
She's a normal kid. She just takes meds twice a day, morning and at night, every 12 hours. But at some point, unless medicine changes, and it's evolved, but she's 17 years post-transplant. And I hope I'm wrong, but she will have to get another transplant at some point in time. And you have to do the whole thing all over again. Right. And I don't know how I'm gonna do it this time because...
Are there stats? Does it become harder the older you get versus the
So there's no rhyme or reason to how long a heart will go. You can get a heart today and
not in terms of the heart, but in terms of being a recipient, like finding donors.
Yeah, so as you get older, it gets harder because when you're younger, your immune system, if you're under a year, your immune system isn't fully developed. So you can get any heart. So that was what she did. She got, I think she's AB, but she's got a B positive or A negative heart. Mm-hmm. So you get more opportunity. As you get older, okay, she's 17, she's AB, so okay, that limits it. She has to get she has to get an AB heart or an AB organ or heart. She'll have to get the same exact blood type, which narrows it down even more because she's 17, her immune system's developed, right? So that makes it even harder. Mm-hmm. Then it has to be not necessarily in the age range. It's just you're just looking for a healthy heart. You're looking for it has to be in comparison to somewhat what your heart looks like as far as the size. So it definitely does get harder as you get older.
Wow. Damn. You win a Super Bowl. I mean, you go to a Super Bowl, you lose. I'm sorry, you didn't win it. I apologize.
Ouch!
My bad.
Damn.
Because I won one.
Can we cut that from
because I won one, I be thinking other people won one, but then I realized I'm sitting in a room with people who haven't.
Let's jump in.
I'm just
three of us. We
easy work right now.
You play. You guys get to the Super Bowl.
Which one?
Well, you went in Carolina too, but you were injured. I'm talking about the one 06 against Indianapolis.
7.
One of the best defenses of our era. Urlacher, Briggs, just high-level play. But you spoke glowingly about Marvin Harrison and what you learned that night, what it taught you throughout your career. When you get to the pinnacle and you fall slightly short, how difficult was it for you and your teammates to deal with that loss, especially with Urlacher saying, remember the feeling because we'll be back?
I still ain't got over that Super Bowl. To this day, I've yet to watch that game all the way through. I've seen clips, but I have yet to watch that game all the way through because it's that painful, because I was that close to getting my ring. I hate the Super Bowl. I hate February. I absolutely hate it. We go every year because I do our podcast with the NFL Player Second Act with Roman Harper, and he be cheesing because he got his ring with the Saints and everyone got their rings on, and I just be like, God dang it, I got 2 loser rings. I got 2 NFC Championship rings. I went to school with Ike, and I'm just like, damn.
Yeah.
We done lost all these games at UL, and I think Ike got 2 rings.
I got 2 of them.
Like, what do I have to do? I bust my butt. I worked so hard. I did all the things the right way. I didn't smoke weed. I didn't go to this party. I turned this down. I went to bed early.
I created a move.
I did all the things.
Right.
And I couldn't it still hurts to this day. To this day. To this day. I still ain't got over it.
You made a football move. The football's been around forever. The peanut punch.
It's kind of tight, though. I like
You
it.
have records. You've set records for forced fumbles, all that. They used to show us videos of you. Just do what Peanut does. You think that's it? I gotta wrap up. These motherfuckers is big. I can't just go punch it out. You still upset about losing, bro? You good. You know you're famous.
No, man. It's the championship. Like I wanted the ring. I've never won a championship in anything. Nothing in high school, nothing in basketball, nothing in track when I was good in track or triple jump. Like I've never did anything at a championship level. Even though I practiced and I had the work ethic, I've never received a championship of any sort. Like never. I don't know what that feels like. And I'm just like, damn. Like I went to the finals. I saw the Golden State. No, I'm not Golden State. I saw the Raptors when they won it and they beat Golden State. And I was like, damn, that's cool how they celebrate. And there's actually video of me and Nate Vash as we're walking off the field. And Nate's just looking at him. He was like, man, I'm just trying to see how they celebrate. I'm just trying to see how they do. And I was just like, I couldn't even say nothing, but I like that feeling when you've bust your butt at off season and then months later, you can turn around and all that work we put in, the process, the running, the lifting, the sweating, and then we get to celebrate and we get to hoist this trophy up, whether it's high school or NFL, whatever. I think that's the pinnacle of sports. That's why you play it. That's why you play the game. And I've never done that. And it's so frustrating to this day. To this day, I'm still frustrated over it. I can't get over it.
How frustrating is it that you have to go through a really illustrious 13-year career as an individual, the things you did accomplish as a team, and know that you probably dropped 2 interceptions that kept you from being the only human ever that could say, I had 40 plus forced fumbles and 40 interceptions to put me in a 40-40 club that would have to be named the Peanut Club because I'd be the only person in it?
During football season, that's the only time I think about it. During football season or when I see someone drop a pick, or if someone plays a highlight or something and it's a PBU and I'm like, all I had to do was just put another hand up there. Instead of doing this, I literally just could have did this. Duh. And then you think you're just like, I'm such an idiot. Oh my God, how did I not think that? Yeah, it pisses you off. I get mad. I get mad at myself every time. But it only happens during football season though. That's the only time I get mad at myself. If it's off season, I could care less. I don't think about it. But once I turn football on and we start watching football plays, damn, I get mad. That's where it all comes back like, ugh. But yeah, I think about that often. I had a buddy of mine, he was just like, man, if you get, because I was chasing it. Like I was chasing that goal. Like I forget these forced fumbles. I need 2 picks. I want these 2 picks. I was chasing it, and I just, at least in year 13, I was just like, I couldn't get it. I didn't have the opportunities like I thought, but yeah, man, it hurts.
The punch though, because that's what, if you say your name, that's what everybody talks about, how you can get that ball out. Was it something, is that God-given? Because people try to rip at the ball all the time.
Right.
We all tried to rip at the ball, but we wasn't getting out like you getting out.
Hell, nobody ever did.
It was, honestly, it was a combination of talent, but I think a lot of it's just hand-eye coordination. A lot of it was hand-eye coordination. So I started boxing just so I could, obviously, being press man and stuff like the footwork and everything. So I started boxing, but really just working on like my hand speed. And when I was in college, we played Wolford. When I was at UL, we played Wolford College. They ran like a triple option. I played safety. All I did was just run the alley. They didn't have a blocker for me. And my job was pitch. Whole week was like, whatever you do, you the safety, just take the pitch. Just go hit him in the mouth. Bet, coach, I got that. I ran the alley the whole game. Ran by the quarterback and just hit the running back in his mouth the whole game. My D coordinator from high school, Rodney Southern, he came to the game and he goes, if you just would have swiped at the ball, you know how many forced fumbles you could have had? I was like, oh, snap. It was like a light bulb went off. And you can ask anybody that went to school with me, you can ask Ike. I was so good at it, I would purposely take bad angles and run a guy down, secure the tackle, and then I would punch it out. I would purposely take a terrible pursuit angle because I was like, all right, if I just tackle him, they're going to get the ball back, they might score. Nah, I'm going to take a bad angle. I'm going to let him get in front of me. And then I'm fast enough, and I'm going to just run behind him, and I'm going to just punch the ball out. Like, literally did it all the time in college. For, like, the last 3 years of college, that was all I did. I would just take a bad angle and then just punch the ball out. Because I knew I was good at it.
Right.
Fast forward to the league, bro, we all fast. Running backs, DNs, offensive line, like tight ends, everybody fast. So, all right, I got to figure out a way to do this thing and get it out and not take a bad angle. So literally my very first NFL snap, we played at the old Candlestick. We played San Francisco. And I was a gunner, running down the field using my hands, and guy didn't see me. I overran it. I came back around, and I punched at it, and oh yeah, we got some.
Dang.
We got some.
Just like that?
Just like that. I got something. And I knew it. I was like, oh, I could play with them. On my first one, okay. Then it was just like, okay, I see you running the ball. Now I gotta like, okay, am I good enough to just like punch that thing and make the tackle? Like as he's running like head up to me? Let's try it. Because all the other ones, they had been like from the side and from the back. So then it was just like, all right, let's go. Let me see if I can do this. I know when I'm punching it, and it's the timing of, it's here, it's here, it's here, it's here. Like, when do you have to punch? So I was always like I'm looking at his arm and I'm like, okay, wait, now. And I would just like throw my punch at the last possible second. But when you throw it,
What did they run you
Fred,
over?
you got to commit.
Right.
Pettigrew from Detroit, the tight end, legit. I'm looking at the ball. The only thing I am thinking about is the ball. That's the only thing that matters. And as I'm punching it, he is stiff-arming me in the face. And we're going back like this. And the ball is going out. And the best thing about that was, and this is probably one of my favorite punches, or actually two, because I got him on back-to-back plays. I got him back-to-back. Like the first time he ran, boom. And he was like, all right. And then ran the same exact play, except he was like, they dumped it to him and he was running like a little flat route. And he saw me, was like, yeah, And I was just like, running, punch. And as I punch, he stiff-armed the shit out of me. My head went back like he mushed me. My head went back, but I punched the arm. You know what I'm saying? I got the ball out. And then I was on my back and he was on top of me, but the ball's over there and we got the ball. And I was like, cool. It must, you know what I'm saying? I sacrificed my body. I sold out for the team, but it worked. But I just got really good at knowing where to punch. Like, that's the key. You got to know where to punch, and you got to punch with a purpose. There has to be intention around it. Guys just go in and just do this, and it don't come out. If me and you boxing, and you do this, I'm not gonna punch you right here. I'm gonna punch you on the side of the face. I might punch
I'm glad you mentioned
your
that.
ribs. Like, I'm gonna do something different.
This is crazy. I'm glad you mentioned if me and you punching. I think the peanut punch is the only thing pre-2011.
Yeah.
Before they change all the rules, that's the only thing they allow physical in today's game. They allow it, but that's a whole nother story. We played Chicago, and similar situation. You ran up on me and you punched the shit out of me.
My bad.
He missed the ball,
My bad,
Fred?
yo, my bad.
Hey, I'm about to get up and fight. Like, hold on, man, the fuck this cornerback doing? But you was the only one corner that was as physical as you were, bro. And I always respected you from those moments that we butted heads, which were very few. But when Spice left, he was telling me about another moment, some punching was going on, but it didn't involve you. You got a penalty because you went to save a teammate. Jeremy Trueblood allegedly was under the pile beating the shit out of Wale.
Yes. Yeah.
And he said you came to the rescue.
So we always talk about team, right? Everyone talks about team. Don't let no one do this. Fight them like you're, take it not too personal, but hey, protect your teammates. It was a third down, or actually it was a fourth down. We're walking off the field, and Trueblood is just on top of Wale. Wale on the ground like this. Like, Wale is on the ground like this. Trueblood is just, motherfucker, kind of like on Harlem Nights, when she's sitting on top of her. I told you to respect me, keep my name out your... So it's literally looking like that. And I saw it, and I just took off. And I mean, I hit the shit out of Trueblood. I hit him hard. I just, boom. And then Michael Clayton, LSU, yeah. He turns and he sees me. And then I'm finna go at it with Trueblood, and then Clayton, he hits me like blindsides. I was like, oh no, now I'm seeing red. I got nothing but rage. It's the same year my daughter was in the hospital with all that stuff. So now I get to take some of this anger that I have built up, stored inside me. And his arm was like this. I ain't never told the story on camera before, but his arm was legit like this. And I went to chop his arm to break his damn elbow, and Alex Brown saved his life. Alex Brown grabbed me so quick. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing?
You never grabbed the homie.
Yeah.
You never grabbed the homie.
And I was like, I was finna break his arm. I'm legit finna break his arm. I went for the chop and everything, because he had all his weight like this. And I was literally finna I went straight, and Alex, I'm still mad at Alex to this day.
But bye-bye Walter Payton Man of the Year, though.
Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah, maybe that. He got me. But I was protected. It was all from a teammates. But the best thing that came out of that, though, Olin Kreutz.
Crazy.
Great teammate. Amazing teammate. He just goes, hey, got my respect, cuz, like, hey, you about that life. Like, I appreciate you. Hey, it's about the team. You saw something, he's doing something to the team. No different than what the offensive lineman do with the quarterback. Same exact thing. Same
I have
exact
a question.
thing.
If you're such a good teammate, why would you play that prank on, what is it, Bob?
Babbage?
Yeah, why would you do that?
Oh, man. I'm the team prankster, baby.
So what'd you do?
So I love Star Wars. My dad grew up with Star Wars. He turned me on to Star Wars. So Step Brothers. Y'all all seen the movie Step Brothers? Remember, there's a scene in the movie where John C. Reilly is like sitting in his underwear with a damn shirt on it, and he's got the Chewbacca outfit, and Will Ferrell got the night vision goggles. And I was just like, that looks so dope. So I bought the night vision goggles, and I bought the Chewbacca outfit. I was just a big rich kid, right? So I buy it, and I was just like, man, it's Halloween time. And I was like, man. So Todd Johnson was our safety. We all lived in the same block. And I was like,
Florida?
damn. Yeah. Sarasota. So I say, you know what? I gotta scare Babbage. So I knock on Todd. I go call Todd, walk over to his crib. He's like, come on, let's go. So I told his wife, Nancy, I say, look, Nancy, just let me know when he's on his way home. She lets me know. She calls me. We post up on the side of Bob's house. And me and Tilo are like, are you ready? I was like, yeah, I think I'm ready. I'm trying to put the gloves on. And he opened the door. The garage door goes up. And then his dog kind of came running out. And he sticks his key in the door. And I probably paid about $700 for this outfit, for this costume. It's legit. I got the fake fur and everything. And the head makes me look an extra foot taller. Man, I ran up on him and I went, and he just went, oh! Like, he got in the smallest ball because he just got so scared. And it was the funniest thing. So then we take it to work, and Dan Toohey, our film guy, he put like the Michael Myers music on, and we played it for the whole team, and he was just like,
No, we got to see this video.
he was like, I think I got it for you. He was just like, you mother, But there's another one though. So Rivera, so I go to Carolina. We're 12-1. We had just lost our first game to Atlanta. And everybody, I call it everyone got tight. Everyone just was like, butthole got tight. They just clammed up. For whatever reason, I don't know if I can say that, but that's just what it was. Everyone was just walking like this. So Shula, Coach Shula was our OC. He told a story about the 72 Dolphins, and they did something with this alligator. So, all right, cool. I go on Pinterest or not Pinterest, one of these websites, and I buy an alligator. I spent like $400. So first things first, you gotta pay top dollar for the props.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Drewski went top dollar when he played the white guy.
Man,
He didn't just half-ass it.
Yeah.
He went
Hollywood.
all the way in.
Yeah.
If you're gonna play a prank, you got to go top dollar. So I probably paid about $400 for this alligator. It comes, I get to work hella early. I get to work early at like 5. I put this fake alligator in his office or in his shower. So I go get Roman Harper and Kurt Coleman. And I was like, what you doing? I was like, man, I just put this alligator. It's gonna be so tight. It's gonna be hilarious. And then as soon as I said that, he goes, who put this damn alligator in my shower? And as he said it, I was like, oh, snap. Chico hot. He like really, I didn't even say coach. I was like, damn, Chico hot. And I was like, tell me, Peanut, you put this in my shower? And I was like, I can't lie. No, I'm a lie. Like I was so scared. I was like, damn, this is one of my jokes went too far. I can't, shit. Yeah, it was me, coach. Get over here. You put this in my, and I was like, yeah, coach, I didn't. Then he goes, well, god dang, man, that thing is hilarious. That thing scared the shit out of me. Oh my God. Oh my, and I was just like, all right, my bad, coach. I thought you was hot. He was like, no. So the rest of the day, I scared everybody with this damn fake alligator, and it literally brought the mood back to how we were. We were like our old selves. And it was just like, that was just the one thing we needed, man. I'm a prankster by heart. I couldn't tell you how many times I pranked Spice. At some point, I have a folder in my phone of just me scaring people. It is it's so funny to me.
Like, what's really wrong with dude, bro?
It's hilarious.
This is what happens when you move around.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, you like to
One
enjoy
of
it.
those kids. So
I scared you with the dog. I was like, watch Shay, watch him get all scared with my dog. Like, to me, that is, your fear is my funny.
Military brat.
Right.
Oh my God, your fear is my funny.
So we everybody knows about the peanut punch. Now they just found out a little bit more about the peanut pranks.
Peanut pranks. Oh my God, that's a TV show.
Tell us about the peanut pivot, the biggest pivot. That's that moment you can look back on and say, without this happening, or because this happened for me, I am because who I am.
I got a couple pivots, but I'll give you one in particular. I failed a math class in high school.
Sign me up.
I failed a math class in high school. And at the time when I failed this class, I was in a class with my best friend at the time, one of my best friends, Jason Adams. And we were just like, we're clowning around. I'm thinking my grades are good, but I'm having a good time with my boy. And I end up failing this math class in high school. I had never failed a class before, but I'm a junior, I think. Yeah, I'm a junior and I failed. And for the first time, I was ineligible to play football. Or no, I'm sorry, it wasn't during football season, it was during track season. So I had to sit out for 3 weeks and miss 3 practices. And I was like, I'm not the dumb kid. Like, I go to school, my grades are good. But I got too cool and confident in my skill, but I stopped doing the work. I stopped doing the work. And I just was kicking it in school. And we'd laugh and cracking jokes. Poor car come out, I can't run. And one of my coaches sat me down and was like, you do realize, like, you're trying to go to college and play D1 ball. First thing coaches look at, how are his grades? And for the first time, that was when football felt like it wasn't possible. Because my whole goal in that life was still like, I gotta go to the league. I gotta go to the league. Ever since I was 5, I knew I had to go to the league. And I know what I gotta do. I'm on a mission, I'm good. And that right there changed my trajectory to who you see today. I graduated on time, I go to college. After my first semester, I met with my second semester, I met with my dean, I figured out my classes, I went to my room, I planned out the next 3 years of my life. I said, if I take this many hours, this many classes, I need this many hours to graduate. If I do this, take this in the summertime, take this in the spring, I carry 15 in the fall, I'll take 20, 21 in the spring, I'll take 9 in the summer. I can graduate in December of 02 because January 03, I'll be in a draft, I can train full time, I can move, I don't have to worry about training, doing papers, going back and forth to Lafayette. No, this is what I'm gonna do. So I planned out the next 3 years of my life, and I stuck to that schedule for the next 3 years, 3.5 years of my life. And then graduation came, I graduated on time, or I graduated a semester early. The spring came, I moved to Houston, I started training, did everything, went to the combine, did my thing, I get drafted. So yeah.
That's awesome.
By me failing that class, it made me wake up and think that it let me know that my stuff don't stink, or my stuff. It made me realize that I wasn't as good as I thought I was.
Can I ask like one football question before we go?
Yeah.
You played with all-time greats at different positions. The Kuechly's, the Urlachers, obviously one of, to me, the most talented, transcendent players at his position. You also played with Cam in his MVP year. Mm-hmm. Which player that was a teammate of Peanut Tillman do you think was the best player you ever played with?
I'll answer that in two parts. If I had to call somebody right now to go sit in a foxhole with me, and I know they're gonna performance on demand, be Lance Briggs. Lance was not the greatest practice player, but game time, I've never seen anybody just performance on demand. Like, he could go out and have like the world's worst practice, and he would give our DB or our linebacker coach a headache and an ulcer. It's like, Lance doesn't know. Come game day, Lance knows all his assignments. Lance, he knows everything. And when you come across the hole or whatever, he gonna knock your ass out.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
Every time.
They was banging.
He's the only player I've known who just was not a practice player. But came game day, he played like an all-pro every single Sunday. Every single Sunday. He is by far the first person I'm calling to sit in my foxhole with me all night, because I know he gonna show up. Forget the walkthrough, Lance. Go eat, chill, whatever, I don't care. When it's time to go, you gonna go. Other one, maybe Luke. And I say Luke because Brian is good. Brian was good. Luke, I had never seen...
Kuechly.
Yeah, Luke Kuechly. I had never seen him just call out the plays all the time. Like, Brian, he could call out a play here and there. Luke did it all the time. Like, and he was like, lead weak, lead weak, lead weak, hey, lead weak, lead weak. Oh, sorry, I got my dog. Hey, do me a favor, go back on the bed. Go back on the bed. Sorry. I like that though. That's funny to me how you got so scared. Humor,
He turned
hilarious.
red.
And he yellow.
Touch my knee.
But like Luke would go batshit crazy when he would recognize a play, and then it turns out he's right with the play, and you're just like, how does he? And all he did was he was great at his craft, and I was like watching film, and I try to tell a lot of young kids like, man, it's all about the film. It ain't about the practice. They're telling you what they're doing. The play is telling you. You gotta watch enough film to figure out what they're doing, and his ability is as great as y'all think I am at the peanut punch. I think he's like that with determining what offenses are going to run. Like his ability to do that, it's amazing. It's great.
Yeah, you had so much happen in your life. It's such an unfamiliar story to a great football player that we spent 45 minutes just talking about life. We couldn't even get to football, but the journey has been amazing. Somebody that's from Louisiana that knew you were at, University of Louisiana Lafayette with Ike T, Coach Baldwin, who recruited me, and then all the things you've done, whether it's football, post-career, being a father. Just kudos to you, man, for being a great representation of so many different communities that need to be shown as to what they can possibly be. We thank you for sitting with us, bro. Thank you for pivoting with us. And just best of luck in whatever you choose to do or continue to do throughout life.
I appreciate that. But I want to tell you one more story real quick. I meant to tell y'all this one story. So this is an FBI story. I figured you guys would get a kick out of this. So me and my guy, we're doing interviews, and I didn't bring like half my stuff with me. I didn't bring a vest. I ain't bring nothing. I brought like a pen and paper. We just doing interviews. We go to a couple pawn shops, ask a couple questions, and the phone goes off. It's like, hey, that fugitive that we were looking for, word got back that he's at his house on 123 Main Street. We look in the man, I was like, bro, that's right around the corner. I was like, okay, I ain't got my Like, I ain't bring my stuff. I'm still new. I'm still on probation. Like, I'm brand new. Yeah. So, and he got like a bad hip leg or something. So I was just like, all right, this ain't gonna go well. So we pull up to the house, and as soon as we pull up to the house, the target, he's walking out of the house. And I'm looking like, that's him right there. That's him. And he's like, are you sure? I was like, bro, I'm telling you, 100%, full confidence, high confidence, that's him. And he was like, it's just us, we gotta take it. I was just like, all right. And I was sitting in the back seat, and I'm like on the radio, I was like, I'm texting the rest of the crew because the rest of the squads are coming to our location. I'm like, yo, positive, we got PID on our target. Hey, where y'all at? Because he's rolling. We're south on whatever street. So he gets in the car, we're following him. Now, we're in an unmarked car, no lights, no nothing. So it just looked like a car is following him. So we're driving around, and all of a sudden, he looks, and then he starts making crazy turns, and it's on. Now he's speeding, now we speeding. We're on the south side, but we're like on side streets. We're not even on busy streets. So it's parallel car, and then just our little car. We're hitting speed bumps. Like, I'm going up on the ceiling. And I was just like, oh, screw this. I put my seatbelt on. Then I was just like, I'm just going to buckle up. He's on the phone or the radio trying to get more cars to where we are. Long story, he ends up turning on this block, and he opened the door, and he just ran out. And the car just hit another car. I knew he couldn't run, so I get out the car, and I just take off running. I ain't got nothing to identify me as a police officer. I got nothing. It's just me. I got on some jeans, I got on a polo, and I got on some J's. I always wore J's. I'm a J guy. So Jumpman, I was like, I represented in the bureau. So I got on these, I think I had on the 12s. He hops a fence.
Heavy too.
Oh, they are. I didn't think I was gonna be running after nobody. So when I had the job, like, I didn't want to look like the police. So I would wear stuff like, I would wear that. I didn't wear like the tactical boots and shoes. Like, I was fresh. I thought I was fresh.
Yeah.
So I pull my, you know what I'm saying, I unholster the weapon, and I'm running, and then he hops the fence, and this was like so bad. I jumped the fence. The athleticism, I hopped the fence. I hurdled that bad boy. Close the distance. He hops another fence. I hop another fence. And then we're running down the alley, in this back alley, and I was like, oh, I got him now. This is straightaway. So I closed that distance, and then he hopped another fence, but I was so close to him, and then I drew again. I was like, hey, FBI, don't move. Show me your hands. Get on, and I'm, FBI, don't move. Put your hands up in the air. Turn around. And by that time, another enforcement car had pulled up, and he was like, you gonna cuff him? I was like, I'm too tired. You cuff him. You cuff him. So we ended up arresting the cat. And then I was just like, bro, what you run for? And one thing I will say that holds true, even though people did something wrong or they violated something, we always treated them with respect. You treat them like a human being. You don't treat them like, like you're just another old thug, and you're like, it wasn't none of that. There were so many times where we arrested people, and they were just like, man, you ain't like the regular cops I done been around. Like, y'all, man, you offer me some gum, because it's 6 o'clock in the morning and I ain't brushed my teeth. You offer me some gum. You let me kiss my mom goodbye. You let me say goodbye to my little girl.
Yeah.
You let me listen to what I want on the music, like on the radio. Like, I was like, yo, man, I'm not here to judge you, bro. That ain't my job. We all human. You grew up a different way. Maybe something happened in your life that made you pivot to this route in life. I don't know, but you did it wrong. You'll get judged for it, but that ain't my job. I'm just here to arrest you, but I can still treat you like you're a human being.
Yeah.
And it was cool. For me, I thought it was the coolest thing when someone said it. And I was like, damn, we've taken away your freedom, but you're telling me how cool I am, which leads me to believe that some people, they just do it, it's a power trip, and they do it the wrong way. It's a power trip.
I tell you what, though, could you imagine hopping out the car? Because, my thought of an FBI guy is going to be some cat that been eating some bad food. He don't really train like that. You hop on this Peanut Tillman. Like, what's the chances that my draw is a Pro Bowler? You know what I'm saying?
So I got
So
some,
I had a buddy who used to call me Trigger
evading
Mike.
charges.
He used to call me Mike Lowry. He
Yeah.
used to call me Trigger Mike. It's like, you would wear this out here, but you got this nice belt. I was like, it's the only one I got. Like, I didn't, you know what I'm saying? I went to work with a Gucci belt versus like a cheaper belt or something.
Well, at least you didn't have on the 6 rings.
Hey.
Jordans.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, guys, you want to talk about a pivot? We talk about football to FBI. I mean, it all works when you're chasing people.